Hey, hey, can everybody hear us? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you're 5 and
hear
9.
you.
Oh, all right. I swear sometimes all new stuff, right? Things just don't work. They just don't work the way you expect them to. And that's, you know what? I think that's the beauty of ham radio, right? We find that kind of stuff and we just we stumble into it. So hey everybody, thank you for joining. This is episode 2 of the Ham Radio Kids Table, where this is not your grandpa's ham radio, and we're trying to push things here in the community to really just push ourselves out of the comfort zone. Don't just kind of do what everybody else has done, because, well, that's the way they've done it for the last 100 years. So tonight, I've got a few of the premier group with me. Actually, I think I go for 4 others, 5 here. So top right, we've got Jeff, Vince. Down on the bottom row, we've got Mike, and we've got Frank. So real quick, if we could, let's go ahead and go around the table real quick, say hi, and let everybody know what's going on.
Well, Paul's already in here making excuses.
What's that, Frank?
Paul's already in here making excuses. He would have joined, but the missus wants quality time. N1OG, the grouch.
Okay.
Well, Paul, you know how to do that. You should do that to the extreme, make it really good quality time. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There you go. That's how you take care of it.
I tell you what, I had some really good quality time with my wife. I took her on a 10-footer rove.
Oh.
Didn't know it.
Hi, honey. Let's go for a little short drive.
Yeah. So, hey, Jeff, why don't you go ahead and kick it off and tell everybody what's going on and what you've been up to here lately.
Happy New Year, everybody. Jeff, K3JRZ here. Let's see. I have to work. They gave it to me, so I'll take it. Went out and did a quick Parks on the Air activation as KTOS. So Kilo Tango Zero Alpha Delta Sierra. So I got them Delaware activator for them. So they're happy with that. On the channel, I got some videos coming up. I'm still working on them. 2,000 subscriber giveaway. We're at 1805 last time I checked a half hour ago. I did say I'd give away HT if we hit 2,000 before the end of the year. We still got a little less than 4 hours to go. So if you want to make it happen. 7 prize packs will be available. They'll all have like different things in them. Some amateur radio stuff, some non-amateur radio stuff, stickers, and who knows what else might be in there. But that's about that's going on right now.
Awesome. How about you, Vince? What do you got going on?
Hey, it is New Year's Eve, like that's a shock to anybody. Or it's New Year's Day, depending on where you are on the planet. And I have a short video coming up on Thursday in the lead up to Coffee and Ham Radio, so I'm pretty excited about that. I have all kinds of video ideas. It seems to be zero time because I am busy shipping more Studer kits and paddle keys. So, pretty much that's what's going on in my shack.
How speaking of the Morris tutors and the keys, how do they find those?
People love them. Somebody was asking today how it compares the Morse Tutor Kit versus something like the Morse Reno 32. And first off, Morse Reno 32s, they've run out of parts, so they're no longer manufacturing them in their current form. You can still find a few of them around, but it's got a nice big color display, which is great for old guy eyes. It's nice and flexible. It's reasonably priced. So people love them as a direct result.
Awesome. And where do they purchase those at?
You can find that directly on my website, ve6lk.com/shop. Life is easy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mike, how about you?
Merry New Year, everybody. Let's see here. If anybody, and Mike N2MAK, if you don't know, and if anyone has suggestions for popcorn machines, leave them in the chat, because apparently after my premiere, when I do a giveaway, apparently I have to give away a popcorn machine now or something. So, um,
Is that
but
New York State law?
yeah, no, it was in the chat if you missed it. But no, it's all good. Enjoying my vacation, my time off with the kids, and we've been nonstop though with sports and family stuff. It's not really a winter break at all. but no, I've been having a good time and had a good Christmas and looking forward to the new year.
Awesome. How about you, Frank?
Well, I'm Frank, Ham Radio Wilderness with Frank, KG6NLW, and I've been hitting some major goals, as everyone already knows and probably sick and tired of hearing, but I have goals for 2025 for the channel. It's going to be lots of fun, and this number is going to jump because I haven't refreshed this since the other day. Oh, no, it's not even going to load because I'm on the wrong page. I'm well over the 1,000 sub mark. Thank you to everyone that helped me get over that. A nice little bump there. I'm having lots of fun. Let's see, 1,559 subs and 30,000 views as of, I think it was yesterday or this morning.
You've doubled in the last 2 weeks. That's amazing.
Oh,
That's
more than
awesome.
a little more than that, Vince.
Yeah.
I went from 818 on the 25th, I think it was,
Yeah, totally.
to almost 1,600. Yeah, it's not even been a week. Absolutely fantastic. Let's see, 792 subs is the plus number on the analytics there. So, and that's in the last 28 days. Let's see, last 7 days, plus 603. So absolutely fantastic. I put a Chef, it's the Turkish Fembots. That's what it is.
I was going to say, I think the Turkish Fembots did it, and everybody should put a Turkish Fembot in their
And they're stocking for Christmas?
Yeah, well,
Yes,
no, I'm
absolutely.
just kind of subliminally cited into your stocking, but I was just thinking, I wonder what AI would produce as a Turkish Fembot.
You know, it's probably going to kill my side, but for a second or two. But I actually did a AI earlier of one, and as far as watch hours go, Paul. Well, that went away too quickly there. I'm up 296.4 watch hours currently, so it's just been nothing but up for me, and I'm absolutely enjoying it. Let me see if I can find this. Let's see. Watch time's up 296.4. So I'm having an absolute blast there. Here we go. Let me go share screen window. This is what it thought a Turkish Fembot was.
Oh, okay.
So
can see
there
that.
you
Hubba.
go.
Yeah. That's
So yeah,
interesting.
I'm having fun. I have some great plans lined up for 2025. Some very great ideas, and we'll see what goes from there. And to everybody in the chat, if you're not over already at the Ham Radio Kids Table YouTube side, if you're still over on Tim's side, come over to the Ham Radio Kids Table side and hit that subscribe button,
Please do.
and I'll drop a link.
Frank will drop a link. Hey, Alan, how you doing, my friend? You dropped in right at the perfect time. Frank was just letting everybody know what was going on, and we'd bounce right over to you now.
Awesome. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, but you're kind of rotated. There we go. That's better.
I'm on my phone. I don't have a very good way to do this right.
I tell you what, why don't you go ahead and drop out and come back in with it in the
Okay.
landscape.
Okay, sounds good. Let me.
All right.
While we're waiting for Alan, I see Corky in the chat. Happy New Year, James.
Oh, absolutely. Happy New Year, James.
I could say Brian WM8G popped a very classic quote from a movie. Should be a Christmas movie.
Oh, from Yeah.
This one.
See what's
Yep.
happening. I'm sorry. I am shot after I feel like I drove halfway across the country today.
I bet.
Well,
What did you do today?
you did 10 parks in one day, right?
I did well. So I did. Yeah, you're right. 10 parks. That is kind of a little deceiving. I did 10 POTA entities. One of them had 3 parks in it. So I had the primary park, and then there was 2 nature preserves. So on opposite ends. So on one of the nature preserves, I did the main park and the nature preserve, and then I drove over to the other side and did the other nature preserve, and so that did 3. So that was all kind of right there. Most of these were in fairly close proximity to each other. So it was, sometimes a 20-minute drive between one to the other. So it wasn't too bad, but I got at least, I think I was doing like 15 plus contacts at each park. And as long as there were people coming, I was taking the calls. But my wife at a certain point, I mean, we started this conversation out about taking off. The kids are off. They were going to go to her parents' house, and she's like, "Oh yeah, there's a park right by. I bet you could go do a POTA." Well, okay, yeah. So last night we did. We went into that big park, and I did a twofer at one of the nature preserves, and then went and we had dinner and did all the we stayed in a nice bed and breakfast over there. And it's Nashville, Indiana. If people aren't familiar with it, it's an artsy community. There's one of these towns that people just love to walk up and down. There's all kinds of shops and everything like that. So we got up this morning, had breakfast, and went over to hit the park. And she's like, I didn't think we were going to do 10 parks. And I'm like, you said there was POTA. We could do POTA. You didn't say how many POTAs, and so actually,
there you go.
The last 2 parks, I have a twofer in my backyard, and I was just going to make the last 2 parks that, and come through and drop them off. So I did, and I went over to the park to do the twofer, and they decided to close off the Scout Ridge Nature Preserve for whatever reason, I don't know. So I could only do the 1 park, so I had to scramble really quick and drive like 25 minutes away to the other side of the county and grab another
to get your
park.
10.
Yeah, to get to 10. I couldn't go 9 and put my wife through that and not complete it. Right. So
Right.
I did it. All right. Well, so that was actually one of my goals for this year was to do that 10 Park Rove. And this is actually the second time I was able to do it. So plussed up on that one. So that was kind of my thing. But Jeff, if you wanted, what were some of your goals for 2024, and what did you achieve? Some big accomplishments that you feel like you've pushed yourself further in the hobby.
A lot of nets been talking about New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. I've really never believed in New Year's resolutions. Kind of follows along with a podcast I listen to called Real AF. You go look it up. It's interesting, entrepreneurial and betterment kind of motivational kind of podcast, but real stuff in there. I just do stuff. I really don't make goals. I always said I was going to study get extra, but kind of procrastinated all year long. It's kind of started last year or 2023. But my license expires beginning of March, so I have been studying consistently every day. I missed like one day in the past 2 weeks. But I've been studying consistently, and I'm going to pass my extra exam. I'm going to take it once, and I'm going to pass it.
Awesome.
We believe in you.
We do.
It does help that I'm also a VE, so I could take as many times as I want to for free. But no, I don't want to keep taking it. I just want to take it once, it done and over with and start learning Morse code. So I'm going to have him help me. Hopefully, I'm pointing to Vince.
Yeah.
Ready when you are.
Awesome. So, was there any big accomplishments for you in 2024?
Not really. I just went out and did post activations when I could. Traveled when I could. I think I took a longer break from traveling this past summer, just because of medical stuff that I had done in the late summer. But just been trying to grow the channel, trying new things, some new things with the channel. New graphics, a lot of people like those, and it's also about a T-shirt.
Yeah, I don't want to distract there, but James, New Year's
thought you might have been
resolution
talking about
is
me,
not
but
to give in to ridiculous T-shirt designing peer pressure. Tim, I think the gauntlet's been thrown down for you.
I kind of feel like, bro, my New Year's resolution is not to give in to ridiculous T-shirt design peer pressure. So there you go, James.
That's a long T-shirt.
I thought I was making something talking about me, but I got new stickers coming, and I'm still working on the T-shirt designs. So I'm not happy exactly with the way they are, but we'll see. My biggest accomplishment was I got Australia on 10 meters last week on Christmas Day. So I was happier than horse pucky. Although I did get New Zealand 12 meters one time about 2 years ago, but it's all good. I mean, getting Australia, that's pretty cool. That's just my biggest radio kind of like accomplishment, like being on the air and like the best contact I made or whatever. But yeah.
Awesome. I tell you what, I remember first time I worked South Africa, I was over in the forest. So I was doing a POTA, and a faint station came in, and I answered it, and it turned out it was a South African station. And talk about giddy. That was like probably one of the longest contacts I had made, but more so one of the longest contacts I had made in with a, basically a compromise situation. I mean, it wasn't ideal. It was a portable activation. So, well, good deal. Good deal. How about you, Vince? Any great fun stuff this year that you found? I know you did a big multi-state rove on your way back home from your prison term.
Yeah, I was in prison for all of November for parking tickets. I genuinely suggest you all pay your parking tickets. My employer had me working in a correctional facility for the month. I picked up a new to me vehicle this year. Boy, it was a strange year. We had to buy 2 vehicles in our household because of reasons. And it's frighteningly easy to buy a vehicle these days from a dealership. Of course, it's always difficult to make the payments. But what that meant for me was I had to set up a new mobile station, and I could correct some of the shortcomings with my last one. And I was super excited to do that. I had no idea that I was fussy enough that it would take me 35 to 40 hours to do it. And I'm doing it in October here, which can be a very cold month. So I had to kind of do it when the sun was shining on my driveway and it was after my work hours. But with that, I immediately finished that and went to jail for a month. And I was doing some POTA, and I would set it up, and just like this folder here that I haven't finished working with yet, this is a multi-day rove, and you can see each day has a clip. And I came out of jail, and I was going off to do an event one province over, and so I planned to do some 30 parks, because I realized I was 23 short of 200 new park activations.
Yeah.
And I came back, and when I was done, I was at 199. So on Christmas Eve, I went out and did number 200. I can't believe I took a look at my numbers on the POTA website the other day, and Tim, like you, we're both in that 10,000 club, 10,000 contacts in the POTA system, which is a huge number. And I realized I've only been at this for 2.5 years, so that makes me think about what's going on for next year. And boy, I would love to add another 50 to my new to me count. So that means I need to start traveling more than I have been to get to those. Fortunately, next week, I'm going to be in Jasper, Alberta, and there are a ton of parks between here and there. So I'll have to make them all voice activations so my wife doesn't have to listen to the dit-das, but she's generally pretty good if they're short activations by voice. She'll even do my logging for me. So, hey,
Well, that's cool.
yeah.
My wife's like, well, I'll read a book. And she read, but
Yeah.
she didn't get involved. Yeah, other than to laugh at me when I goobered stuff up, calling the wrong park number or mispronouncing the name of the place or something like that. So,
Yep.
Matt over here, Snow Cones, he has at 4,000 activator contacts.
so there was. I'm looking for the call sign. I can't remember her name or her call sign right off the top of my head, so I want to look it up real quick. KB3WAV.
Carrie.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody, if you've done any kind of POTA, you
Yeah.
know Carrie. So I noticed that when I was looking through doing the research on these things, that she had come through the area, I think back in November. And I just happened to the cursor just kind of went over her thing. 200,833 activator QSO. So, I mean, I thought 10,000 was a lot. 200,000. So that is definitely hamming harder. And I'd like to know who else. I don't know if they publish like their top 10 of different
They
things,
do.
but that'd be interesting to see some of that stuff.
I think you would have to just go to the site, look up like the top activators and the top hunters. And stuff
Do
like
they
that.
have the
I don't
top
think they
activators
actually.
on there?
Yeah.
I believe
I-
so. Under the hamburger menu on the left side.
Oh, yes, there are. Oh,
Tim, I already have it
Yeah.
queued up.
man.
And the top hunters link is a really good one if you think you've broken a call sign. It's a great way to search, right?
It's one way.
Oh, wow. So Kilo 7, Charlie Alpha Romeo, 481,604.
Yeah, but
activator
that's
queues.
Kent. He does everything on digital. He's
Oh.
awesome. Don't get me wrong. He's awesome. But he is FT8 galore.
Roger.
But of course, let's see here. Dell N2 NWK, 10,413 activations, 82 parks,
Wow.
373,964 QSOs, 2 of those on CW, 236,424 of those on data. And that's that's all time. So if I limit it down to 2024, well, Dell's number 1, and of course, Ham Radio Adventure Guy James is number 2. 3,314 for Dell at 28 parks and 137,588 total QSOs. And James has 1,357 activations at 370 parks and 81,824 total QSOs. So
Well,
yeah,
I think Del Fargus hit it on the head there. In 10 years, there'll be hundreds of people with 1 million plus QSOs.
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And one thing to point out too, when you're looking at some of the numbers for POTA, and I'm certainly guilty of this. I'm sure, this helps with Dell's stats and stuff like that. Is I'm like a stone's throw away from 2 FERS and 3 FERS, and I mean it's even more so. You get down to DC where Dell is and stuff, and so it's easy. Like I was just looking at my stats right now, and I got 497 activations, and so I was like, oh well, maybe I'll go out to a 3 FER tomorrow, and I'll get my 500 right, and was it like my QSOs are 17,000, but you know, a good chunk of those are probably at 2 FERS or, you know, NFERS and stuff like that. And so that certainly helps. And in certain parts of the country, like in the Northeast for sure, just because of a lot of historical parks and stuff. But certain parts of the country, like the density of POTA references is amazing. And other parts though, you might have to go, you know, drive 40 minutes, an hour plus to get to a park. And you know, and there's no such thing in certain parts of the country as 2 FERS and 3 FERS. So you know, it is what it is. Like, and I don't say that to belittle anyone's stats. You know, like I have fun doing 2 FERS and 3 FERS. I've done 1 4 FER. I loved it. It was fun.
Mhm.
But you know, it can be a little misleading and stuff. And I try not to get caught up in some of that stuff. But I probably go out to a 3 FER tomorrow now. Just knowing that
Well,
I'll hit
listen to
500.
you, Mike.
Just drop down to Dell's territory and activate that
Yeah.
7 FER mic and just be done with it. And
Mike-
of course, why am I not surprised by this one? Toby, who's absolutely a fantastic hunter, 4,208 hunted parks and 24,573 QSOs just in 2024.
As soon as you said Toby, I heard her call sign in her voice. in my
Right.
head.
Right?
You know, I was surprised. I normally, as soon as I get on, I hear Toby. Not once today. We should probably send do a welfare check, just make sure everything's okay. I mean, I was
She,
a little concerned there.
she
Send out the
actually
St. Bernard.
she did an activation today. I saw her on the spotting page.
Okay.
Okay.
Awesome. So, Mike, you brought up something interesting, and Vince, I've heard you touch on it. I think Stuart was it Victor Echo 9 Charlie
9CF.
Foxtrot? He
Yep.
he did a video here just a couple days ago talking about some of that, especially up there in Canada where there's so much sparse land between your park entities that sometimes you know you can drive for 3-4 hours to be able to get to a park.
Yep. Yeah, and that's a real challenge. And K7 UAP even put that in the chat. He said he's got 3 within an hour of me, which is not a lot. I probably have 10 within an hour of me, but I've activated them all. And what gets me going is getting to a place I've never been. So now that means I have to drive farther afield to scratch that itch, as it were, right? I really like tackling parks that nobody's been at before. I found a great tool to help me plan for this. http map.pota.ninja.
Do
And I
you
know
want to share that, Vince?
Yeah, yeah, Frank's going to share it on my behalf
Yep.
because he's got the magic wrench there. But
Oh, you
and
don't
this
have
tool,
you don't have a magic wrench?
Neither
that's
does
okay.
Jeff.
That's okay.
Jeff
And
does.
what this tool does is it shows you,
Yep.
you pop your call sign into it at the top, and it'll show you and zoom in a bit, right? Because it doesn't want to, display all of North
Do
America.
you want to share your screen?
Yeah. Why don't I do that?
There's no top secret information on there.
No, there's no top secret
Secret
information.
Pota plans or
E6 LK,
Just all the at notes.
5208, find, load. Okay, so it loaded that, and now I have to find the screen sharing widget thing and allow Restream to see. Yes, allow. And then open system settings. Firefox wants to do stuff. Okay, and I shouldn't have to restart. And yeah, I'll do that later. So now I can share my screen. Is it going to allow me? I'm going to, what are we seeing? We're not seeing anything. Share this window. That's the one I want to share. Now, are y'all seeing a map? We'll start there.
Yep.
Okay, because I can't see you guys right now. And so this is the Jasper area where I will be traveling to. And so what this shows is I've never been to parks that are gray. Nobody's ever been to a park that is yellow. I've activated, hunted, or hunted and activated some parks. Let me come down closer to home, and you'll see what those colors look like when I put them on the screen.
Now, Vince, you made
Yes.
sure to redact the launch codes before you screen shared, right?
Yes, I redacted the launch codes. Thank you so much.
James wanted to make sure.
Yeah, okay, good. Thank you. So you can see that the red ones are ones that I've activated. The blue one is one that I've hunted and activated. There's a yellow one here not far from home that nobody's activated yet, and it's because it's damn difficult to get to. It's definitely not a drive on. But this is the POTA Ninja website, map.pota.ninja.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Yes. This is a very cool tool.
Yeah.
So I don't know about you guys, but I used to go on to the POTA map site, and I used to try every one of them, and you click on one and it opens it up in that tab, and then you back out and it opens it back up to your default location. Oh, what a pain in the ass. So I got to the point where I click on it and get the pin, and then I'd right click on it, open it in a new tab, and then I'd examine it. Well, now this POTA the map.pota.ninja is going to make it so much easier to do my planning.
So, Vince, can you see the chat right above my head here?
Yeah, first launch code is EIEIOA. Yes, it is. Thank you, John.
Yeah. So their Four Wheel and Redneck was also concerned that you may disclose the Canada's maple syrup reserves.
Yeah, that's in Eastern Canada, so I don't think there's any concern there.
Okay.
But thank you for being worried about it.
Yeah.
And I will say this, because I do believe you mentioned it the other night, Vince. With that map, it is HTTP. It is not not a secure site. So if you have an S in there, it's not going to work. That's why I had to repost it.
Yep, indeed. So great tool, and I had discovered that a while ago and then disremembered it. And I'm really glad I rediscovered it. So activated for 1,189 days.
He's a machine.
Dell,
he's killing it.
You are a machine. There are many people out there that activate daily too.
Yeah.
WB0RLJ, if you're a code guy, Jim's on the air every day. He's been going for more than 2 years now. He's just one that comes to mind. Wow, I don't have that time. I'd love to.
And Dell, welcome to chat. And if you haven't seen it yet, I just dropped the link. Come over to the Ham Radio Kids table side of the chat.
Yeah. So somebody had mentioned, the parks being close, right? Like Vince, you like to do new parks.
Yep.
I just like to get out of the house. So I've got the nice radio here. I've got the Flex and all this stuff. And that, to me, that's just easy, right? It's like shooting fish in a barrel. I prefer going out and doing the POTA parks. And I'm just happy being out of the house. I'm, making it a little bit more of a challenge. So, yes, I like to go. So every time I go somewhere away from the area, I always try to plan a POTA around that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily make, or at least I haven't yet. I guess if a group of people said, "Hey, you know what? Let's drive across country and do POTA," I'd probably think about that. Now, I don't like to drive that far in the car, but my point is that I prefer, I see it whether I hit the same park. Matter of fact, I think I don't know how many activations I've got over at Morgan Monroe, but that's where I prefer to be is in that. So, Mike, how about you? What do you got going on? You had your video that premiered tonight, so you talked about that. Was there anything that you thought about after the video was in the can, ready to go?
No, I mean, I'll say this, to kind of back up to, where the whole goals thing in ham radio kind of came from. And I know that some of this is like semantics too, because you have New Year's resolutions. There's also New Year's realizations. But then I started my whole YouTube channel because like a lot of people, squirrel. I was so easily distracted by everything in ham radio, new antennas, new modes, new YouTubers, this, that, all this gear that you have to be ham. And and it was I got some gear for Christmas a couple years ago, like one of the little buddy heaters and an ice sled, and I wanted to go test it out, and I was like, you know what, I'll make a video. I'll go out, test out this gear, and that was my first video. I had done a couple shorts just for the fun of it before, but that was my first real video, and it was because like I had stuff I wanted to test and try out and whatnot. And I still have to this day a huge list in my notes app on my phone of all kinds of things that I want to do, whether it's antennas I want to build or new modes I want to try, making that satellite contact I've yet to do and everything. And I did a video. I went down not this past December or a year ago. I went down to Washington DC, and I kind of set a couple goals for this trip down to Washington DC. I travel often for work. This was a guy's trip to go see a SU Georgetown basketball game, and I was going with a bunch of non-ham friends, so I wasn't going to be able to sneak out and really do POTA, but I set some goals for myself on this trip to kind of just help me along. And there were small things like, do WinLink, program a DC repeater manually, which I did at the airport when I was waiting, just, program it manually in my phone or in the HT, make contact, just some minor like little goals like that I could do with an HT from the hotel room or outside. And that video actually did pretty well. I was surprised by it, and I was like, practical goals can be helpful. And so I set some goals last year. I missed out on a couple, like that satellite contact and stuff. So I set some more this year. But after I did the video, like, as far as like outside of my, goals, which are more like priorities, because there's so many things that we want to do and experiment with and try. I've set my priorities for the new year. But a couple of things I was really happy with this year that weren't goals was just, I do the VHF contests, and to be able to get out and make my first contacts on 900 megahertz and 1.2 gigahertz with some, quirky Alinco HTs and whatnot. That was a lot of fun. And, to go out and do POTAs and get POTA contacts on 23 and 33 SEMs. That was neat. And I was really excited, to get those. And, and again, at the end of the day, the whole genesis of my channel was about trying new things and just testing things out, trying new things. And that's kind of, what some of that stuff was, that I did with the VHF and some of those higher bands. So that was a lot of fun. Definitely looking forward to the contest coming up next month and stuff. But yeah, those were, a couple things I was proud of. And I went out and I did a video intentionally on 900 megahertz before the FCC comment period closed on the proposed changes. And, that got a lot of people in Western New York and Southern Ontario really excited about 900 megahertz and trying to maybe schedule some regular activity days, get some more activity on that band and whatnot. So, we'll see what happens with it in the new year, but I had a lot of fun on 23 and 33 SEMs.
So Mike, James has two comments for you. Please don't do any live streams from the can. And he wishes Alinco would make some funky, obscure brand HTs again.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yeah. And those things and one of them just popped up. I got alerts on eBay for these things. And it's like I think it's like the 29, the Alinco. It's like the DJ or G29 or something. And it does 1.25 meters and 900 megahertz, which is like just such a quirky combination of bands, right? To get 220 and 900. And the thing, these things are selling for like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I'm going to use this a couple times a year. I can't justify right now spending, that much money on something that I'm going to use that much. But then they're so rare, and it is definitely convenient for the portable stuff to be able to put something like that in your hand and have, a couple of those bands. But like I said, it's hard to justify the cost for some of these things that are unobtainium, but it is what it is.
And Digital Rancher says +1 for Alinko. You listening? And I echo that. +1 for
Yeah.
Alinko as well.
Yeah. I wish we could see more stuff with some of these extra bands. 23 centimeters you can get on the 9700, and it's a little bit more common and whatnot than 33 centimeters, 900 megahertz. But I wish that there was, we had more access to some of these, because I can't say it enough. Like, if we don't use it, we lose it. We've lost band space in 1.25 meters. We've lost, band space elsewhere, and it's, if we're not using it, we lose it. And it's harder to use it if you can't access easily equipment to do that. So.
Oh, I was just about to highlight that, Tim. Dell works in DC, so he does POTA just for fun. Can you imagine being able to just, as you're driving around for work, go activate a park real quick? That sounds like the best way to do it.
Yep, definitely. I work right by a 2-fer and a 3-fer. I could walk from work. I can walk. My house is technically within a national park. Obviously, you can't activate from home, but
why not?
What's that?
Why not?
It has
It's
to
going to be
in
public property.
Oh,
No, I'm in the Erie Canalway
Yep.
National Heritage Corridor. So
I thought you just had to be inside the legal boundaries of the
you
entity.
do, but you got to be on. And this is where in states like New York, where there's a lot of parkland, and we have the Adirondack Park in the North Country in New York, and that's massive. I mean, this is a park that encompasses multiple counties, and whatnot. And so people's homes are within the Adirondack State Park. But you couldn't activate from your house. You would need to be on public land for that. So, maybe that's going out into the road or something. But I anytime I activate when I'm in the National Heritage Corridor, I'm going to parks. Sometimes they might be a local county or city park, but it's a park that's within the national corridor, so it counts. And I think the spirit of POTA is to try to get out to parks, right?
Oh, yeah,
we want to be
absolutely.
supportive and stuff. So
Although you could sit on the sidewalk, that's a public easement.
yeah,
I was going to say, Mike, you have a long fence, right? Or something like a long fence or something. Just set up an antenna along the public side of the fence and just sit on the sidewalk, have a little buddy heater with you and just go POTA from the sidewalk.
yeah. Part of the fun though, and I think Tim alluded to it, and I don't know when you got licensed, Tim, but I got it in. Now I'm getting audio on my audio.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. I'll try it again. If not, I'll drop out and come back. But I got licensed during the pandemic, so I'm a COVID ham, and I wanted to just get out of the house, man. I used to joke that the only thing that saved our marriage and our family was the fact that we didn't have an open floor plan in the house, right? So people could at least hide behind walls and whatnot. But it's part of the fun of POTA is getting out and just going out. And I've learned a lot by doing different setups, trying different antennas and different things all the time. And that's kind of been part of the reluctance of putting something in the car that's fixed. It's like, it's part of the fun is just trying different setups, different antennas, different radios. And, it's part of the learning process. So I like getting out there and just getting away.
So Rob, you're part of the Tuesday night lineup technically. I want to know what you're debuting at the end of the week. That sounds like fun. I guess we'll have to wait.
So I know Frank dropped it in the chat. There's a QR code up at the top of the screen, and then there's a thing down here in the streamer at the bottom running. Today is the last day of the year to donate. If you had a couple extra bucks and wanted a good place to spend it, consider donating to the ARRL's Education and Technology Fund. That's the program that Steve Goodgame runs, and I think it's a very worthy cause to support.
Yep.
I know 2 teachers now that have gone through the through the TI Institute for California, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they bring to the classroom next. And Tim, you were trying to remember something you had at Morgan Monroe. What was it? It was a while ago.
I don't remember.
Okay, I brought up I brought up the park just to see. You have 124 activations, 5,122 activator QSOs there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Number one.
what's that?
You're number one there. No
Um,
one's catching up to you.
I'm always number one. At least that's what they tell me. You're number one, Tim. You're number one.
I don't think they use this finger, Tim.
Well, man, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. They probably don't. But no, like I said, I definitely I see POTA as it's not. I love to be outdoors. I love to be outdoors in the woods, and I think come to think about it, I kind of exchanged one thing for another. I used to be a Boy Scout leader when my oldest son was in Scouts. I spent a lot of time camping and just outdoors in the woods. I felt at peace, and so after he aged out of Scouts, my younger two sons are not interested in it. I think I found POTA as an opportunity to get back out into the woods. I don't normally like to activate busy park areas. I'd rather be out into a more of a state forest or off the beaten path, and I really enjoy that. So, well, real quick, we've covered I think 2024 and everything that we've done.
Well, not for me, but
any and not necessarily New Year's resolutions, but is there anything that's on your bucket list for 2025 that you want to do, or even a step further? Because I think either YouTube supports your ham radio habit or ham radio supports your YouTube habit. Either one. Is there anything that you are wanting to achieve or do in 2025?
well, I want to break my 80. So in 24, I had 81 activations across 20 parks. I want to see if I can at least double that with my crazy work schedule. So 160 and 40 parks in 2025.
Nice. Similar to you, Tim. You just did a 10 park rove, and was that your first 10 park rove, right?
That's actually my second one.
Second.
This one was more of a rove of opportunity.
Yeah, I've never done a 10 park one. I've done back when they did the radars. I think I did like the 2, 5, 7. Like I did everything shy of 10.
Mhm.
So I haven't done a 10 park rove. I did a year ago. I did a QRP rove where I did 5 parks with 5 watts SSB, and I used 5 different antennas. And what was neat about that is I didn't pick the antennas. I let the QRP SSB group that Kevin has on Facebook. I let those people vote on what antennas that I would go out and activate with. So they sent me out with some interesting ones. They sent me out with a Rybakoff and a Mag Loop and some ones like that. But that was quite the challenge. I did not have some good conditions to start out the day, but that was a lot of fun. And I said, I got to revisit this. And I did it in June because June, I'm blanking on the day. I think it's June 17th, but there is actually an International QRP Day. All right.
Yes.
And so that's why I did that rove. And I want to do another one, whether it's International QRP Day or not, but I want to do a 10 park, 10 watt rove. And I want to try to do that with 10 different antennas. And I want to get contacts on 10 different bands. So I kind of really want to push like some limits there. And there's enough of a park density where I am where, I can certainly make that happen. The big challenge is going to be using 10 different antennas and also trying to make sure I'm getting on 10 different bands as well. Not at each park. I mean, just, over the course of the day. But I think something like that would be a fun challenge, and when I did that 5-park QRP rove, it's you get out there, if you do QRP and you do it with different antennas, you can really see what tends to work well, what doesn't work well in different conditions and on different bands. And there's no perfect antenna. If there was, I'd stop making and buying them. But it's a good way to get out and do some of these things, and and just kind of learn hands-on and whatnot. So I'm hoping to do that 10-park rove with the 10 watts, 10 antennas, 10 bands in the new year. I just don't know when.
Set a date. Pick a date. Pick a date right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to hold you to it.
No, yeah. It's hard for me to see past the next few days, let alone to see a few weeks or months down the road. But no, I'll try to get it done. When I did that first one, the International QRP Day, it fell on a weekend. I don't think that was the case this year, as I think back, because I still went out and did a quick activation, and I did a 1-watt activation on International QRP Day, but it was not a weekend. I didn't have much time. I got like a dozen contacts, and that was it.
You got a dozen on 1 watt. You did really well.
Yeah. 20 meters with a quarter wave vertical, that's something those quarter wave verticals work fantastic. And so, yeah, like I think I got like a dozen or so. I brought my son to play at the park with his friend, and they were wrapping up just as I had like a dozen or so. I'm like, okay, we can call it. And
you did that 1 watt on phone too, didn't you?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
So I wanted to point out,
Mike,
I don't know.
when you finish your CW, get your CW, Mike, you can do that on a 1/10 of a watt.
Yes.
There you go.
Totally.
I brought it back up. Brian, Whiskey Mike 8 Golf, says he's planning to do a 30-park rove this year. And I
All
think he
single
had some
entities.
dialogue with you, Vince, that they're all going to be single entity parks too, which is going to be interesting. Brian, reach out to James. I know he's done a large rove like that before. There's some logistics on the backside. He could probably help you out with that.
Yeah, James. James will give you all the pointers.
Set a date, stick to it, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with having some support people there, and maybe getting some stuff prepped, radios prepped, ready to go, or whatever, antennas prepped. Kind of helps out. I know, Mike, you had mentioned doing 10 different antennas in 10 parks, single entity parks.
Yep.
Yeah, every minute counts. I mean, I did some 2-first today, and I'm using the ATOS. So that made it a lot easier because I'm just rolling in and hitting the power button. So it's it can in and itself be challenging. Just doing the logistics of getting on the air, not even making the contacts. What's up, Jeff?
Yeah, that's true. I wanted to say one thing. With the logistics of getting to each park, you need to plan the route, and you need to make sure you have either the address or the latitude, longitude, grid coordinates, whatever, for the park. Do not ask your voice assistant, hey, whoever, take me to this park, because they're going to take you to the wrong place a long time.
Yep.
Ask me how I know. My 10-park rove turned into a 9-park rove because of that.
Yeah, and one of the things I do is, tip for anyone, in the chat and whatnot, is when I go to a new park, I print out a hard copy of the map. I've been to parks, not many, but I've been to some where you have no cell service or you have no data and everything else. So I always print out that hard copy, and then I just punch, 3-hole punch, keep it in a binder, and rather than throw it away and recycle it after I've used it, I've got all those maps from all the parks that I've activated, or some that I didn't, but I printed out maps. And, when I'm going out and traveling, it's one thing if I'm going to the ones I know that are in my general vicinity, but but print out those hard copies, because you do not know. You can also screenshot a map and save the photo on your phone or something like that, but sometimes just having paper maps can be certainly advantageous, especially you might know how to get there, but then you don't know where the boundaries are sometimes, and you don't know if the park has parking within the park boundaries, because that's not always the case. So it's helpful to have those paper copies.
And on
Yep.
top of that, make an alternative list of like 2 or 3 parks that if you're starting to run out of time because you've gone over at a park or two towards the end, because remember you have to do it in the UTC day to get the 10 Rove reward. Get those alternate parks ready so that you can go and activate them. I had that happen to me on one of my roves, and all I did was I went to Plan B Park 1, got that, and then went back to Plan A, and I was good again.
Del Fargus brings up a very good point. Sometimes you got to be cognitive of the park hours. Hey, Vince, you had submitted or put out up a link there talking about
Yeah, my POTA planning tool.
yeah.
And it's a spreadsheet. So John says Excel that shit. And I agree 100%. And I've built a planning tool that I use when I'm doing a multi-park rove to try and help me figure out when I'll get home, the travel time between each site. And this is all about planning. It's all about figuring out what time I'm going to start at, how many minutes I'm going to spend at each site, and what's the travel time between each site, et cetera, et cetera. I sit here with Google Maps and I figure it out. I take printouts, and you've already seen this. I mean, these are all my printouts from a multi-day rove. There's one park in each sheet of paper there. I bring those with me, and still I'll get to a park and I'll have to bring it up on my phone to see, oh, am I in the boundary or out of the boundary? If I'm outside the gate and the gate's closed, because sometimes I'm in the park and sometimes I'm not. And I always bring spares with me, spare parks on sheets of paper that I might be able to hit along the way. If a park is closed, I just move on to the next, and well, I land up at home early that day. I mean, it happens, but it's all about planning. I'll probably spend close to 15 minutes per park in planning that activity before I start driving the next day.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think one of the things, in thinking back to talking to James, one of the things he mentioned about having that team of people to kind of pre-scout also is another thing. Because when you show up at a park, if you're not familiar with it, you don't know what you're going to get into. You don't know where you can park, you can pull over, you can.
For sure.
If there's power lines don't necessarily show up on Google Maps, and it does help out if they've got like Street View, where you can look around and see. If you're doing urban parks where you've got all kinds of noise, you may want to avoid those, as opposed to one that's out in the middle of nowhere where you're not getting much RFI at all.
Or barbed wire fences. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, can you load the fence up, Vince?
Yeah, can you do the fence? Make the fence an antenna. One thing I've said before in the past is to reach out to other hams from that area. If you know them, like if you're coming down to Delaware, if I was going up to New York or wherever, I'd reach out to someone that I knew there to see, like, hey, I want to go to this park, and this park. What can you tell me about them? And I a few times for a few people, they've asked me about it locally and outside the area. I'm a wealth of information for the parks I've been to. So always reach out to people that have already done it before you. They're so much information.
Yep. Very good point. Very good point.
Yeah. And one thing to keep in mind is if you're doing the ATNOs, that the parks that haven't been activated, and every so often when POTA, they do these big uploads and they add more and more parks from time to time, you'll see a lot of these ATNOs, but some of them are ATNOs for a reason. And I've certainly learned this when you get out to them. no one has activated these parks because they are not easy to get to or get into and stuff. Some of these wildlife management areas and state forests and stuff. And, I've learned there's a couple times when I had my previous car, which was just a Ford Fusion front wheel drive, like that has been on some forest access roads it had no business whatsoever being on. And it was a miracle that, I got in and got out. But, some of these parks that haven't been activated, it's for a reason.
I got to tell you the quick story of the prettiest activation I never got to do this year. And I was trying to get to the, now I've forgotten the name of it, the something creek, Scalp Creek Natural Area. And that's y'all equivalent of hunting land. And I took a look on Google Earth and the imagery wasn't the greatest. And I took a look on ArcGIS. I typed that in the chat for somebody else just a minute ago. If you do a Google search for ArcGIS, it'll give you different satellite imagery than Google Earth will. Bing will give you different satellite imagery. I mean, there's a bunch of them out there. Anyway, I'm looking at all of these things. And up here, we got this product called Backroads Mapbook, and it's a curated memory card that you slide into your Garmin GPS, and it'll show you the wildlife management units so that you know when you're crossing a boundary and all these things. Anyway, I get all this mapping, and I'm going all the way out to this place, and I've never been to the Yaha Tinda. And it's really one of these areas that's touched by the hand of the creator himself, whoever you believe that to be. And I get all the way out there, and I follow the road all the way out, and I get to a fence and a sign that says, yeah, y'all can't go any further on wheels. And it's about a 3-mile hike in bear country, which I'm unequipped to deal with that day, to get to this NA. And you have to understand, this was 3 hours from home. Now, it was near the tail end of a multi-park rove. I got some beautiful photography and video that day, and it was featured in a video that I published about a big July rove. But I was so bummed because all the satellite imagery showed me, oh, there's a 2-track road going all the way out there. It looks like I can drive right up. Yeah, it's a trail, but it's crossing private land, and oh well.
Vince, that sign has to be the most Canadian sign I've ever heard.
Yeah, well, the sign didn't quite say that, but it pretty much says no driving beyond this point, private land.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I've got to ask, you see all these YouTubers that are up in Canada, the off-roaders and stuff that go out and they carry bear spray. Does that
Yes, I
stuff
have
really
some.
work?
I don't plan to find out.
Okay.
Yeah, but the stuff does work. You bet.
I've
And
never seen anybody actually have to use it.
I have a can of it in my truck. I
Okay.
used to carry it with me when I was an off-roader and on my quad. I've lost 1 or 2 of them quadding. You just replace the can because it's basic safety equipment. But yeah, if you need to use bear spray, you are in a world of hurt already. You are in a very bad place.
Is it similar to like the pepper spray that the police carry then? Okay.
Yeah, it's Kapuskin or Kapuskasing or however you say that word. It's marketed differently because up here we cannot buy pepper spray because that's legally a weapon, but we can buy bear spray. So, yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah, I got a big old can of bear spray. It's about 10 inches tall and 2.5 inches around, and I carry it's on a big carabiner, so I can just clip it onto a belt loop, and it's right handy.
That's
That's
the
good.
number one. That's the number one tool every Canadian has on their belt clip. I already know that.
Well, that and one of those devices that kill the mosquitoes, keep them away.
Oh no, those
yeah,
are gone
yeah.
most of the year, aren't they, Vince?
Well, it depends on where you are. If you go to the northern part of the province, the mosquitoes are basically the size of Cessna 186s, so I am told. I tend to not activate when there's mosquitoes out. I love wintertime activation because I don't get bug bit. If y'all want to have fun at a campfire, just invite me along, and you won't get bitten by bugs because I'll be getting them. Girls love me.
Vince, you and me both. They love the sweet taste of my blood, apparently.
Yeah.
Keep the fire smoky, keeps the bugs away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Nope, not for me.
Yeah, not for me either. What's
Yeah,
Mike got?
there you go,
Mike's got his
Mike.
bear spray.
I think that's isn't that required equipment as a amateur radio operator in the United States, when you come to activate in Canada, do they not require that at customs? When you come,
Yeah, I don't know yet.
it's like your radio, your passport, your ham license, and your bear spray can.
Yeah,
It's
Depends on
yeah,
what part of
pretty much.
Canada you're going to. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
have
it
to worry
depends.
about that down here.
Yeah,
Although
my
there's
brother's in
always
the chat. He
Bella
says,
Bear.
sorry. Jeff, go ahead.
I was saying that I don't have to worry about don't have to worry about those bears down here, but they've been bear sightings like once a year. They named it Bella Bear, I think.
My brother is he's in the chat and he's validating that I'm the Skeeter magnet. Yeah, he would know.
Yeah, we do have some poisonous snakes around here. A couple. They're not too common. Actually, the first one I had seen this past year, and ticks. Obviously ticks, things like that. You have to be careful with.
Yeah, indeed.
Oh, hey!
While you're doing
Look who's in the lobby there, Freddie
It's the
Mac.
Ham Radio Crusader.
It's the police.
Dirty.
Y'all better be acting right up in here.
And Vince, all I got to say, looking at your brother's icon there, absolutely. I was like, wait a second, Vince on the second account there?
Yeah, there you go. Hey, Freddie, your mic is hot.
Thank you. I think it's. I didn't pay much for it.
I think it's hot too, man.
Okay.
It's really hot.
How about that? Is that any better?
Yes, sir.
All right. I've been fiddling with that too much today, apparently. So, what'd I miss?
Well, a little bit of everything,
Was-
but not much at all.
We were going to be talking about goals, and it's just kind of gone off into POTA and now bears. And
Oh yeah, I failed
So,
my
br-
first
back to
POTA
goals.
activation yesterday.
you failed?
My first failure, but honestly, I had my whole day planned out for me. Obviously, I was supposed to go to a meeting at 11, and then to a funeral at 2, and then run errands after that. And I get to the meeting. Turns out I'm a month early, so I'm like, "Hey, I got a few hours."
I've done
to
that.
blow. Yeah, and I go run out, and I'm like, get everything set up, and it's middle of the day almost, and I get 5 contacts in an hour and a half, and I'm like, shoot, if I don't leave now, I'm gonna miss the funeral. So yeah, that was a hard thing to take right there.
Did you
Yeah, that is.
did you spot Freddie?
I did
Hmm.
a couple times. I even changed bands. It was I was at the Okmulgee Okmulgee Wildlife Management Area, and the spot that I got was pretty close to some power lines that were working against me. So
Well, Freddie, I will say this, no fault of your own. Dr. T put out a report that yesterday, today, tomorrow, we're getting blasted by the sun.
well,
The sun's giving us its own New Year's fireworks. So
great.
wouldn't be surprised if there was some solar issues there too.
Yeah. I really kind of think there was some of that going on. I got 5, but it took me an hour and a half to get them.
Yeah.
Sounds about
Been
right.
there.
Yeah, it was just
Been
like,
there.
and that's one thing I didn't want to do is give up, because I love the POTA. And it was a little cool yesterday, so I did it from in the truck.
Freddie,
Nothing
Mike,
wrong with that.
Mike dropped some
Nothing wrong
advice
with
in the chat for you.
Say again?
I said Mike dropped some advice in
Yep.
the chat. It's up on the screen.
No failures, just incomplete activations.
This is
So,
true, and
Yep.
that's the way
But you can't complete them. If you leave it incomplete, you
Yeah, I
can't
know.
It's just
complete it.
incomplete.
that's
You got
just
to
the,
start over again.
I'm going to call it.
But for me, yeah, for me,
Just-
I always said failure's not an option. I refuse to fail. And if it takes me 3 hours to get 10 contacts, by golly, it's going to take me 3 hours to get 10
Yeah.
contacts. And when I get that last contact, I'm like, whew, I got to go. I'm gone. Pack
Yeah.
up and I'm gone.
I should have never started it. I really should have just, I love to POTA when I have the day, and I have the whole day, and I just didn't have it squared away enough yesterday. But you live and you learn. So I had some fun.
Freddie, I'll tell you what, I was there for your first POTA activation.
You were.
That was a very, very fun. That was a great trip, and kind of talking about what started this off is just some of the fun stuff that we have done in 2024, things that were on our bucket list, and then kind of looking at 2025. Since you're new to the kids table here tonight, what kind of stuff did you do for 2024 that really stood out and you had fun? And I'm not necessarily talking about resolutions. We don't know what a resolution.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was telling everybody tonight on the net, I was just, I had more bucket list items than anything.
Mhm.
And 2024, I kicked a bunch of them off that list, man. Of course, a successful YouTube channel, nothing but blessings there. Was fortunate enough to make it to the More Expo last April with you and Bill and Jason and Kyle and Frank and Rob. Gee whiz, the gentleman from Alpha Antenna, whose first name I can't recall right now. Steve. And that was a great little adventure right there. As soon as I got the little trailer set up, I figured out my hot water tank was leaking in like 18 places. So that was an adventure. That first night, especially, that was a great time. But getting to go to Dayton for the first time, I got to meet Mike in the flesh. That was just the whole thing. That was the biggest ham radio flea market I'd ever been to. Of course, every vendor on the planet was there. People out of the blue saying, "Hey, you're Freddie Mac," and I'm like, that was a little bit a bunch. That was a bunch for me, and it was adventure pulling my cousin Eddie trailer through downtown Cincinnati. That was the scariest thing I've ever done in my life. Lord of mercy. And getting to go to Huntsville last August, another big adventure off the list. I was fortunate enough to get to stay in a cabin. I was going to be camping, and turned out Joe Brett, K5YBY, wanted to trade his cabin for a camping spot. So we worked that out, and gee whiz, I couldn't say thank you enough to enough people. It was great. It was just simply great. That meet and greet they have at Huntsville Hamfest up there on Montisano. I guess it's on the Friday evening. That's about when I slid into home base up there. A lot of great people. I got to meet Ed, and I don't know who all.
I got to say this, Freddie. This is the ham radio kids table. And sometimes we're a little juvenile. Slide into home base has a whole different meaning. I just want to throw that out there.
Well, I'm telling you what, I made it. I made it in just under the wire, I guess.
There we go.
It's like the last one to show up. Oh, I had my Meshtastic, my Spec 5 cased Meshtastic device with me, which I'd had for just a little while because I wasn't fortunate enough to have it at Dayton like all the cool kids did. So I got one. Me and Rob helped me out and get the right one and everything. And then I got it all set up, and then I'm tootling around Oklahoma, and it does nothing. It's just nothing. So I'm thinking I did something wrong. I had to have done something wrong. So as I'm pulling into Montisano, I had it all charged up and going. This thing starts going crazy. And I'm looking, and there's like message after message after message. And Rob, Digital Rancher, had a Meshtastic repeater set up with a BBS built into it. And that thing was getting us all over the park. That was pretty stinking cool. I can't say enough about it.
Freddie and Tim, you two are going to More this year. Dave's asking in the chat, right?
Yes, we are going to be there.
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm going to be there. Freddie, you're going to be there?
Oh, yeah. I'm all booked up.
We bringing the Larceny?
That or some Ezra Brooks. Man, I'll tell you what. I think I may have
Ezra Brooks now, aren't you?
Ezra Brooks is some pretty good stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. I like that Larceny, but I was surprised. And the price is right. But
so it looks like we've been infiltrated.
Oh my gosh!
Not infiltrated. Everybody's invited to the kids' table because this is where we have fun.
Exactly. I'm just poking a little fun there at Shane. Hi, Shane.
Hey, Shane. I see you in the chat there, buddy. Shane got his balloon pilot's license.
Yeah,
he's moving up in the world, man. Literally.
That's awesome. Hey, so you mentioned Bill. I didn't want to throw this out. Bill has joined the ranks of the Premier Group now. So Bill has joined us. K0WHW. He's the Ham Radio Tectonics I don't know if did he premiere one tonight, or I was busy trying to get this.
He
Going?
ended up making it public before setting up the
Okay.
premiere correctly. So I know it. I dropped it on my playlist after the
Mhm.
live stream.
Okay.
So if anyone happens to have just been following along my playlist, it should come up. But it's on the playlist, and Bill Ham Radio Tectonics. I don't have the
dropped his
link, but we'll
I
put it
dropped
in the
it
chat. Give him a sub and look for more stuff from him on Tuesdays and Thursdays coming forward. Glad to have him on board.
Absolutely. Bill loves to do CW and loves to build kits and play around with Meshtastic and stuff like that. So good follow.
Oh,
Yeah.
for real. I got to meet Bill, like I said, at More Expo last year, but we all staged up when we got to Springfield, Missouri. We all staged up at Lowe's, if you recall, Tim.
I remember that.
And they were joking around on the radio on the way up there that, he's going to be the one that's wandering around the parking lot pushing a shopping cart. And, and I'm like, they're playing around. So I'm the first one into the parking lot, and I'll be darned if I didn't see this gentleman pushing a golf or a shopping cart around the parking lot and waving at me. Hey, it's me.
Yeah, that was funny. And to fill everybody in, Bill flew into the local airport and I think took an Uber over to where we were meeting up, and we were all coming in at right about, let's say, 3:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So Bill had already gotten there, and he was at the Walmart or something like that and gotten a bunch of supplies. So he was just kind of walking around in the parking lot with the shopping cart waiting for us to show up. And that was a fun trip. And
it really was.
I'm excited to do that again. Matter of fact, I'd spoken to Jason. I think he's going to do essentially that same presentation again.
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out and Chris, and I know Hillbilly Ham, he lives in the area. I would like to do two things. I'd like to do some Parks on the Air type presentation in the educational environment. Not necessarily here's Parks on the Air, but hey, you guys are overlanders, get out, have fun. This is what I do. I got the drop down table. I'm doing some battery stuff this year to run radios in the truck and refrigerator, stuff like that, auxiliary battery. And here's some of the stuff you can do while you're out on the trail with amateur radio, different from GMRS, different from, the 2 meter, 70 centimeter. And here's some things. And then, I know when we did the POTA activation, we went to a trailhead that was not too far from there, but I think there's also a POTA park within about 20 minutes of the fairgrounds. And so I would like to maybe even invite people to come and see what it looks like with a full on, we're ripping contacts as fast as we can do it and kind of see that excitement. I think that was one of the things my wife saw today was me just ripping contacts as fast as I could get them in the computer and getting them logged. So very fun, very, very good time.
Shoot. Yeah. We were at the Butterfield I think it's called National Trail. I wasn't sure what it was, and it stretches like for several states. And come to find out, it was a stagecoach trail back in the day. That was pretty stinking cool.
Believe that went all the way out to California, and
it's the Butterfield Overland National Historic Trail. Covers Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, Missouri, California, Arizona, and Arkansas.
Does it not also go through that one valley, the valley where everybody got ambushed all the time?
Death Valley?
No. It Arizona, California, somewhere in there. I'd have to look it up. There was a valley. There was the Army, the U.S. Army sent and created a garrison out there to help protect people. But I think that was on the Butterfield Trail.
It was pretty stinking cool. We had a good spot there too, for real. I mean, we had good parking and everything.
So Tim, if you'll bring up my screen share.
Sure. Shane also says that he's hoping to be able to make it back to.
That'd be great.
So there you go. There's the Butterfield Trail. And I think you're thinking of, I think it was just outside Tucson is what you're thinking of there,
Could be.
Tim.
I got to meet Shane last August.
Uh-oh.
Or
What
was
happened?
that? Was that August of 2022? He did a balloon show over in Muskogee, the neighboring county, and the wife and I went and enjoyed our first balloon show. And I'm like, man, we've been missing out. This is pretty
Yeah.
cool. I want to say it was in August, but it was a little windy. They couldn't do a whole lot. But when they do that nighttime as the sun's going down and they fire up all the balloons and you've got them all firing off the flame inside, super cool. The entertainment they had there was amazing. It was a really good time. Really, really good.
We have an active ballooning community just south of us, and we routinely see them in the summertime. We see 4, 5, or 6 or 7 balloons just floating around having a good time.
I didn't even know it was that big a deal, and it's huge. It was really cool. I'm going, hopefully get to go to another one. A friend of mine, Alpha 5 Papa Delta, the amateur radio guy, works over in Shawnee, and his company, the tribe that he works for, hosts one in, I want to say it's in August sometimes. It depends on what time of the year that they have it over in Shawnee, Oklahoma, and it's just as big, a little bit further away, but I think they have a little bit bigger entertainment acts that show up for it as well. So something to think about.
Tim,
Really?
I want to address this real quick. Dan, Vince's brother here, he hasn't.
I was
met
starting to wonder. I
Americans
saw the
yet.
profile picture. I'm like, that kind of looks like.
I told you. I told you. So Dan, Tim, if you'll solo me for a second.
Yeah. Is that safe?
Yes. Strictly in metric.
Strictly in metric.
Yes. I
Awesome.
do not do. Okay, you can unsolo me. I do not do anything but.
Can 13-year-old Vince teach you all the metric conversion?
Go for it.
Sure, let's do it. We're here.
You're number one. That's the metric conversion, in case you ever need it. Just saying. And I'm not saying you're all number one, but that is the metric conversion. One.
You know,
Because
I've got a mini split in here that's in Celsius, and I can. It's weird. I can switch it over to Fahrenheit, but as soon as I connect to it with the app, it goes back to Celsius. And so I set the app up for Fahrenheit, but it'll tell me the outdoor temperature in Fahrenheit, but only interface with this thing in Celsius. It's irritating in the sense that I'm just so used to Fahrenheit, but like right now it's at what, 22. So what is that, like 70 something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
low 70s.
Yeah. So I mean, I know the range. Like, okay, I take it down to about 18 at night when I'm not in here, or 17, 18. So it stays in the 60s and we don't freeze anything. But I kind of wish I grew up in the 70s, and you know, when we were talking about metric, everybody was very against it. I kind of wish I had learned it younger. Now, as I'm doing more things in amateur radio, but not only that, just small measurement, millimeters and centimeters to me seem a lot easier as a base 10 math than fractional inches.
Totally.
Or 12 inches to a foot. I mean, I kind of wish we had learned it a little bit more sooner.
Or, 16 rods to the hogshead or something,
40 cubits by 80 cubits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just to give you guys an idea, for those that don't know, I work for the railroad, and we don't use feet and miles except in very rare circumstances. We're in meters and yards.
Is that because of the international crossover with?
To a degree, yes, but mostly because that's how they measured everything back in the day. And so that's how they measure. The only foot measurement we have is the rail gauge. And this goes back, if you want to believe the story, this goes back to Roman Empire times. 4 feet, 8.5 inches from railhead to railhead.
So I guess Chris Becker has a different take on it, but I tell you, so I was in the Navy, and nautical miles. That's a whole nother headache if
Yeah.
you want to get into that nightmare. And I never really understood. I just know we were going knots. They use it in airplanes. But what I think it was a video I was just watching here recently with Neil deGrasse Tyson. He explained the whole thing.
I saw that video. I just saw
okay.
that.
It was fascinating. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I've been out for 30 years. Now I finally know. All right.
Yep.
There we go.
So apparently we tried to implement metric back around year 2000 and it confused everybody on blueprints.
I believe that.
Don't recall, but
That's
okay.
why I've standardized on the Bofang for measurements on my channel. When I do
Yeah, there
videos,
you
usually I
go.
convert things to Bofangs. I need to though. It's hard. And Vince can probably relate to this, and then maybe Jeff and Tim too, if you have signal stick antennas. So the Bofangs we can measure, length, width, and stuff like that. But temperature, I'm going to have to probably resort to the signal stick, and the bend. Is it 12, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock? Because if you've ever brought those things out when you get below freezing, and I got a video a long time ago when it was like a single digit day, or maybe it was in negative in the Fahrenheit. But I mean, it's crazy seeing the antennas, like how they just immediately. Now I've still made contacts on the limp sticks, but and they work, but like it's crazy. And when you go back inside, slowly it'll spring right back up. And
You ain't lying. I got a signal stick mobile antenna. It's a dual band. I'm probably told
Yeah.
this story like 800 times. But last year we had an ice storm and I'm driving around in it and I thought, I'm going to get out at Harbor Freight and get something real quick. And that thing is just like this. I'm like,
Yep.
oh no, it's ruined. Of course, as soon as it got it back up to 70 degrees, it just bounced right back.
yeah, they for a brief period of time they made a low temperature one. I have one, and I tested it, and it's night and day compared to like the regular ones and stuff. But they haven't made it in like a year or so. But it's a little bit more rigid and stiff to bend. You can still
Yeah.
put it in the loop if you needed to. But it's I swapped it out. I got the low temp one on my daily HT right now.
Need it up
Because
there.
it's the winter. But I haven't seen those in a while. But those are nice. And
It's a really good mobile antenna. It really is. Performs really well. It's just Oklahoma ain't used to ice storms that much, but when we get them, that thing's it's not in true form.
I'm pretty
if
sure.
anyone from
the
Ham
signal
Study
stick
is
antennas-
watching or signal stuff, please bring back the low temperature signal stick.
Yeah, I'm to stick with the juvenile theme. I'm pretty sure that other things besides the signal stick don't perform well in cold weather.
Yeah.
I can attest to that.
Mhm. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
I have no idea what y'all are talking about.
So Chris Becker says if you work in thousands of inches, switching over to metric is just plain weird. I don't disagree with you if you're especially used to that form of measurement. I look down at a tape measure and I start seeing the fractions and I have to start pulling my shoes off to do the math, and it's rough. I love the like I said, the millimeters and centimeters, and everything's just base 10, so it's easier to add instead of trying to add fractions, dissimilar fractions or denominators. It's all right.
And,
denominators.
and Shane has it right. 40-meter band or 131-foot band? Yeah, let's all go over to the 131-foot band, right?
I have a tough time
Yeah.
remembering the meters as it is.
Mike K. Yeah, Mike K. at MRD actually mentioned that same thing. He says like everything in ham radio is metric.
Metric.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a video he
It's
did like
been around a while.
but
Well,
everything else is in feet. I was just talking
is it-
about a measuring tape for antennas, and he had it's metric, and he said, "Why would you measure an antenna in feet if everything else is if radio is in meters, metric?" So
Just gotta suck it up, Buttercup. We can do it. It's just
yeah,
better.
it should be easy to do. If you have a metric tape measure, use it.
Yeah.
Well, you're
Exactly.
used to
Whoa,
use
man.
feet.
We're going to use it at one point in time in this world. We might as well just get used to it.
The change might happen after we all die,
Yeah,
but gosh, we're gonna be ready for it.
we're going to be ready.
Uh,
Even after we're dead, we'll be ready for it.
I was just about to pull that up. James,
oh,
absolutely.
James, well done.
I bet James will make a shirt about it.
I bet he will
Yeah.
He had okay, so because he's out here in California with me,
with a metric ruler.
he has 5 hours, 28 minutes, and 30 seconds to do so.
Before he stops doing T-shirts for 2025, you mean?
Yep.
All right. He'll probably have it done in about 6 minutes.
No, 3 minutes is his record so far for shirt making.
All right. He's got to find the artwork with a metric ruler though. I've got one of these amazing rulers here at my desk, and I can't remember where I picked this thing up from. But let me get it up way close on the display here.
Oh, here, hold on a second. Let me embiggen you. I forgot I
Embiggen
could
you.
do that.
Yeah, embiggen it. And so this is a very cool ruler. It helps you figure out how big parts are for SMD, but it shows metric on the low side and 1/10 of an inches. That's inches and tenths on the top side.
It would probably be a lot easier for Americans to do metric if they put the numbers facing right side up. I'm just saying, like,
You mean yes, yeah, yeah, there you go.
You're a poor influence, Vince.
Yeah, well, I am a poor influence. Have you all heard about the OmniFix? No, never mind.
It's on
Yes,
the way.
yes, I am an
Mine's on the
influence.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Vince, the OmniFix, though, that was discussed last night. This is
That's okay. We can talk about the OmniFix 2 nights in a row. We can do
Oh,
that
yeah.
because it's an amazing tool. But anyway, I'm not here to make you all break out your wallets.
Mine is already on its way.
Yeah.
See, there
You
you go.
Yep.
Indeed.
Yeah, that next morning I got the email that it was shipped with a tracking number.
Sweet.
So Chris says he got 2 feet. He's going to use it. He doesn't mind working in metric for radio. Just don't force him to drive in KPH. Chris, KPH is what it's all about.
Yeah, there was the joke about the guy who crossed the border coming into Canada, and he sees the sign 100, the speed sign on the highway, and a cop pulls him over, and the cop says, "Sir, do you know how fast you were going?" He says, "Yes, sir, 100 Canadian miles per hour."
That's very fitting right there. I'm not sure that will work in Oklahoma, but hey, everything's worth a try.
That's sort of like the 3 nuns that went down the 4 different highways, and they just came off of 101 out here in California.
So the inverse of that, Vince. I used to live in Florida, in the Tampa Bay area, and that had a lot of Canadian tourists that would come down in winter and there, and I think they mistake the miles per hour for kilometers because
They go so slow.
Yeah.
That
or they're old. One of the two.
Well, it's interesting when you buy a vehicle in Canada. It has kilometers on the outer side of the gauge for the speedometer and miles on the inner side. There was a brief period of time where they didn't print miles per hour as they thought America was going to the metric system.
Mm-hmm.
And that's that failed attempt we were talking about. When you buy a vehicle in America, on the outside of the speedometer, it's miles per hour, and then on the inside, it's kilometers per hour.
Mm-hmm.
And the numbers on the inside are always smaller. So you get used to going, oh, well, I want to go down the road at 80 kilometers an hour, 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And you just kind of go there and you go, and you see a sign that says 50 and you instantly want to slow down to 35 miles an hour. That happens. It's happened to me in the States. So
that's fair. I do like in the newer vehicles with the digital speedometers where you can just select whether you want kilometers or miles per hour.
Yeah, indeed.
My truck is like that, and it really is. Turns out that it's really easy to switch to KPH, and I don't have no idea how I did it. Until I'm like, what the heck? I'm barely moving, and it says 100 and something. It's just, it totally threw me off. But yeah, Turns out, because my display is analog and digital. Don't come up with that idea, but yeah, totally messed me up.
Freddie,
You know, I
someone
have that
trying to go
in
for
the
both.
Bronco. I have a digital speedometer, and I also have an analog speedometer. And I think part of the reason is if you can't see the digital screen, which can happen, especially with the top off, you still have an analog dial to look at.
The reference, yeah.
I sort of thought it was for people that, those of us that understand the analog and those that don't.
That could be. That is a fair.
That's how I look at it.
Yeah,
That's
a good
fair.
way to look at it.
I think what we need is a Baofeng or a Xiegu that allows you, and it's probably like maybe the Quansheng. You do a quick firmware hack and convert it from megahertz into feet and inches on the VFO.
James,
Good, I've
I
already
know,
done
you're watching, so get on it. Mike, you'd love a radio like that from James, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so what are our plans for 2025 and our goals?
Oh boy,
Who's going first?
I tell you,
went.
I would
I'll
love.
make up some goals after you guys say yours first.
You buggered, Tim. I was going to do that.
I gotta-
All right, well, I asked the question, so
I beat
why
you
don't I
to it,
talk?
huh?
Yeah, you beat me to it. So I'm going to put it out there, and I did this 2 years ago on a New Year's Eve live stream with Jason, and I said I was going to do so many hundred CW activation contacts, and it was a huge boost for me. And so likewise, now accountable and very public with this, I want to add 50 new parks that I have never activated. For me, this means I'm going to have to travel afield much further than I have been because I've covered a good chunk of the province already. So 50 parks. Now, hopefully next week I get a good start on that. And what else am I going to do? Wait, we have goals. Yes, Shane, you have goals to hit too. So I'm going to leave it at that right there because that's a whole heck of a lot of work right there. That means that I've got to improve my radio gear, got to improve my antenna setup, my deployment time, and all the rest. I like Cooley's. He's going to do his first POTA. That's very cool.
Oh yeah, man.
Yay.
Awesome.
You're gonna regret not doing it sooner.
Yep, absolutely right.
And I just want to touch on Shane's comment real quick. Yeah, Shane, unlike others, we have goals around here.
I was going to wait until 2025 to do FT8 for the first time, but ironically enough, the day after Christmas, I had a few hours on my hands, and I've got this. I bought this DigiRig, and I bought these cables for my ICOM 706 Mark IIG, and Tio's like, "Hey, why don't you come on to the live stream to do the FT8 poker thing?" So, well, I've got the equipment. I've never set it up, so maybe I'll learn how.
Well, that's how they get you.
Exactly. Well, within a few hours, I was on the air.
Yes.
Tio's video got me hooked up as far as getting my radio set up. I got the software installed and turned on, and I had to get a hold of Jim, and he helped me get my software straightened out. Here's the ironic part. This was December the 26th when I did this, and I actually made 10 contacts. I got to looking at my DigiRig invoice, and I purchased it all on December the 26th, 2023.
Oh man,
I used it exactly 1 year later. I'm like, I got to get caught up on my projects, man.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was pitiful. But yeah, that was really, really cool. But come time for the live stream, I had my antenna rigged at the house really poorly inside the house, just on low power. Tried to get it going, and I couldn't get it to go. I couldn't get but one more contact when the live stream started. So that's another big goal is to branch out into my FT8. I wouldn't mind doing some what is it, JS8 call?
Yep.
Yep.
Some other digital modes as well. I mean, it's all intriguing, and the fact that I can actually do it now it's outside my comfort zone, which is where I need to be. Learn something.
Exactly.
You want to know what we need to get you on next, Freddie?
What's that?
SSTV.
For real.
Hmm.
That's actually been a long time goal from way back. I'm like, man, I really would like to do that someday.
You and me, Freddie. Let's
I'm-
do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push back on the SSTV.
Oh,
That
no.
is look. That is the predecessor to the memes that we see on the internet.
Mhm.
But let's stop going so far back to what our grandpas used to do.
Ham radio.
That literally is what our grandpas used to do. Think
You know-
about amateur TV. Think about what we're doing here, but over RF.
The only okay, I agree. I agree, Tim. The only
Yeah.
problem with that is the ATV equipment is somewhat prohibitive to get into. Not like this hobby isn't expensive enough as it is.
Always plenty. Fair enough.
It's somewhat a bit more prohibitive to get into because you have to go in and get old broadcast equipment, and
Not a
that
problem.
costs a pretty
We know
penny.
people. We know
That
people.
that
I
it
think
still
we know
costs a
people.
pretty penny. So I'll do SSTV all day and night until prices on that stuff come way down.
Looks like our
If
channel
anyone
is
from
pretty-
ICOM is watching, and they have an extra 905 that they want to
Yep.
send out, it'll get a lot of use out in Western New York. I tell you, But,
Yes, it will.
We'll definitely give it some media coverage.
Yeah,
John,
I
you
have
ready?
to agree. I have to agree with this one here. I was trying to explain SSTV to my wife today, and I'm like, it is about as legal as you could get for ham radio, or barely legal. As you
Oh
could get
no,
for ham
Tim,
radio.
they it's special. No offense here because I'm Italian. No offense. The Europeans go way above what's supposed to be legal for ham radio. John has it absolutely right. Even today, it's still the same thing.
So Brian says the ICOM 905 has ATV built in.
yep.
Is that
Yeah, but-
transmission or reception?
How
It'd have
many
to be both.
905s are out there in the wild right now?
Not a lot. Not a lot,
Exactly.
but and I'll just say this, being in a really active VHF group there, I said it, everyone take a drink. You go to some of these, everyone's working on 705s, 705s with transverters and
Mhm.
stuff, and whatnot. But at the end of the day, what it takes to homebrew and put together stations with transverters and the 705, it ends up being cheaper to just get the 905. And, if anything, certainly a lot easier to get a 905 and not mess with the transverters to get that capability and all the bands that come along with that on UHF and SHF and stuff. So,
Well, Brian just brought up, he said the ATV folks had an informative presentation last year at Dayton. I think maybe I'm going to put that on my list of things to do while I'm there, is to learn a little bit more about that and find out how we can start doing it. Because like I said, I really want to push ourselves beyond what our grandpas did. This isn't their hobby. I mean, it's their hobby. They can do their stuff. We need to push ourselves to do more instead of just doing what everybody else does.
Speaking of our grandpas, Lou over at Hike and Hammond has a great point. As a New Year's Eve reminder, 2025 is as distant from 1980 as 1980 was from 1935. Feel old yet?
Man, I don't need to hear that.
I don't think any of us did, Freddie, but it's there.
I'm going to feel old the minute I get up from this chair and my back and knees. And,
Gee whiz.
yeah.
I'm not sure I'm going to get to make it to Dayton this year. Last year was a
No,
stretch.
no.
If the accommodations, if something with the accommodations work out, it'd
Freddie?
be more likely.
I've got a possibility for you.
Okay.
We can talk off stream.
I dang sure ain't pulling cousin Eddie.
Oh no.
back to Dayton again. That was a monster gas bill right there. Lord.
Oh, yes, it would be.
Yeah. It was an adventure, and it's something I wouldn't give it up for anything. I had a blast. and those of you out there that don't know, before I started planning the Dayton trip, I thought, maybe, just maybe, I can get on that list to stay at the campgrounds, and then I get at the fairgrounds, and I get on the list, and they said just 3-year waiting period. I'm like, oh geez. So I go ahead and get on that list, and then I book a camping spot. Well, Lou was in the same Lake Cowan State Park, like 48 minutes away. And then I'm on my way up there, and somebody had canceled and got a hold of the guy that arranges all the spots and said, "Hey, I'm not going to be there this year. Give my spot away to someone that needs it." And I was lucky enough to get it. It was like winning the lottery, dude. So
Well, apparently Pink and Lou might not be making it to Dayton either.
I tell you what, I would love, nothing would please me more to get to go. That was an amazing show. Absolutely amazing. And I'd love to go to Hamcation, but well, things have got to get scheduled and budgeted a little differently for that to happen. And it's going to happen. It's just a matter of when. We'll see what happens.
Well, I've got a plan to drive to Hamvention from where I am. So that's a multi-day drive.
Yeah.
And that could be 50 parks right there,
Oh, absolutely.
depending on how I do it, right?
Oh yeah.
Now you're Vince, you're in Alberta, correct?
I'm in Alberta. I'm in the western
How-
part of the country.
How far of a drive roughly is that over to Dayton?
I'll answer that question in a minute or two.
3 or 4 day?
Yeah, probably. Dayton, Ohio.
Depends on how hard he wants to drive.
Okotoks. Okotoks. Oh, I can't type tonight. Okotoks. Yeah, the No Frills store, the grocery store, that works just fine. And Google says 30 hours, 1,892 miles.
Chug a lug.
Sounds about right.
So we'll give my my hybrid pickup truck a good workout.
That's for
We'll
sure.
see. See how it does, but I don't mind the long drives. I love the
I
scenery.
love a good long drive.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't like a good long drive pulling a travel trailer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of stressful.
So that's probably 5. You know, if you think about how OTR drivers calculate 500 miles a day, 8 hours of driving, probably an 11-hour day. I'm not going to drive that hard getting there. I would probably do, so that would be 1,800 divided by 500, 3 and a bit days. So I'd probably do that over 5 or 6,
Yeah.
which gives me time
And
to
does that
stop,
include
enjoy
POTA
the
time?
scenery. Yeah, it includes that as well.
Okay.
There'll be short stops. There'll be 11 contacts and go.
Hey,
Right.
By the way, I forgot, Vince. My pairing today was the ATOS with an 857.
Yep.
Yeah,
Awesome.
so that's what I rolled today.
Right on. I roll that every day. It's great.
So Hollywood, he's going back to digital stuff. He wants E ESSB C4 FM. How do I adjust my EQ? For those, you guys know what ESSB is, I hope, right?
Enhanced sideband.
Enhanced
Wide
single sideband.
Yes, I love those guys. We have them out here. So everybody complains about 7,200 out on the East Coast, right, in the Midwest. Out here, 7,199, so 7,200 is the ESSB folks here on the West Coast. So Arizona and West, 7,199 for ESSB. Some of those guys, they sound like AM.
Well, that's essentially AM is just the audio track on both sides of the carrier.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
but their signal is so, they get up to 8K wide sometimes just on one side.
Mm-hmm. And no carrier.
ESSB is extended single sideband.
Oh, look at Freddie with the Wikipedia look up on
Yeah,
the
right. I'm like, I gotta learn stuff every day, or why am I here? I'm learning something new all the time. Extended SSB is any J3E SSB transmission that exceeds the audio bandwidth of standard or traditional 2.9 kilohertz single sideband J3E modes. And there's a lot of other stuff there, but yeah, far out. I didn't learn something new today.
Dustin has it in the chat too. Extended single sideband.
I'd never heard of it.
You can probably hear those guys I'm talking about out here.
Sweet.
It's Mike, it's essentially like the guys that do the AM where they
Like
spend
us.
a lot of time and money they're making systems that they only want to talk to themselves. They refuse to talk to anybody that doesn't have one of those kind of AM systems.
Oh, Shane.
Ask me how I know.
Shane, I gotta record some audio one of these days for you because these guys are not way over processed at all. Not at all. They sound beautiful, like AM quality. Yeah, there you go, Dustin. Voodoo Audio, absolutely.
So the new
Jeff, you were at Lake Louisa?
Long story short, my parents sent me out on a cross country trip in summer for like 40 days. Flew into Denver, took a bus south, went down to Utah, Arizona, up into California, from San Francisco to Seattle, I think it was. Went into Canada, went east, went down North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, and then back to Denver. Most amazing trip I ever did. Hated it, but I had the best fun after the fact. Hit almost every national park out there in 1984 before I knew what radio was.
Did you get all the badges or the stickers of all the badges of all the national parks?
I didn't know about that stuff, man.
Mm.
But I went to some cool places, saw some cool things, and yeah, slept out underneath the Aurora Borealis in Banff. It was the most amazing thing I've ever seen, natural thing I've ever seen. Everyone should at least try to see it and just watch it. It's just amazing and mesmerizing. I hope to see it again sometime in the future soon.
I did get some of the Borealis lights here. It didn't really look all that, but I put it when I snapped a picture of it, it stood out much more on the digital image than what I remember seeing. But
Yeah.
all my time out at sea, I don't ever recall seeing those. But I tell you what, getting out in where there's absolutely zero light pollution and spending about 5 minutes in the dark. Oh my gosh, the stuff you will see in the sky that you do not see inland is just completely awesome.
Yeah,
It's
every
because our
time.
eyes- Go ahead, Jeff.
Every time that the Aurora came down into the U.S. recently, it's been raining and cloudy here in Delaware. So I was like, yay! Plus, I'm sure there's
we
too
got
much
that
light
here in
pollution.
New York tonight, and so I don't think
Yeah.
I'll go check when I go up later and see if I get anything. But I saw earlier this year we did have back in May or whenever it was a really great show.
Yeah,
it was
and it
fantastic
was-
to see with the naked eye and everything, and it always looks better on camera. But I mean, the things I
Yeah.
saw with my eyes, it was like, oh, this is amazing.
Yes, it is. And
Unfortunately,
of
our
course,
cameras.
at time.
Go ahead,
Go ahead,
Jeff.
Frank.
Our cameras are
Go
a
ahead.
lot more sensitive than our eyes are. So what we can see with our eyes is just spectacular. But of course, the cameras are going to make it 10 times more awesome. Coming from a
Yeah, but
photographer.
to actually see it and you're watching it, you're just like,
Mhm.
and you're seeing like the patterns and the colors just slowly change. It's just blew me away when I was 14 years old. I can tell you that.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
And I can't wait to see it in that time in May when it came down to the U.S. and it was supposed to come down to went down to Florida or something, northern Florida. It's like, no, it is raining here in Delaware, of course. Yeah, thank you.
Of course.
No, you could have covered up. You could have covered up that solar eclipse because I've seen a bunch of them already. But you had to freaking do it on the Aurora. Thank you, Mother Nature.
Don't forget that. Man, the eclipse this year was the first total eclipse I had ever seen. Excuse me, in my life. The most. I did get a glimpse of the Aurora Borealis in Oklahoma. It was underwhelming because of where we were at. But the
Vince,
eclipse
we need to
was
fix this.
amazing.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Brian had mentioned that they're building the Buc-ee's in, I guess, the Dayton area.
Yeah.
I think so.
Nice.
I've heard that.
we'll have to check that out. And Vince, you've never been to a Buc-ee's?
I have never been to a Buc-ee's. I have seen photos and videos. Of course, I've seen Kyle's videos on these things, and so it's on my list of things to do.
That it's definitely an experience.
Especially the
Oh,
breakfast
awesome.
burrito.
But I what they don't have, and it really irritates me. So Buc-ee's people, if you're listening, postcards and piggy banks. They have neither. At
And
least
tons
the
of
last
jello.
time I was there, they don't. And that's one of those things like when you travel, right? It'd be cool to get a Buc-ee's piggy bank for your kids.
Or
'Cause
green.
they like piggy banks. Buc-ee's people.
So I just looked it up. It's supposed to be opened in late 2025. So
Oh.
it won't be in
What
time for
the-
this year,
No,
but for
that's not-
26, absolutely.
Does Buc-ee's have like a route planner that I can say from Alberta to Dayton? Are there any Buc-ee's on the way?
I'm thinking that's gonna probably be the furthest one north. Is
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're predominantly
Yep.
southern states.
They started in Texas and they've kind of branched out from there. I think Florida, they got quite a few in the
it's going to
the
be
southern states there.
Have you guys ever
it-
been to Sheets?
Yes.
Sheets.
What do you think?
It-
Yeah, what
it's
do
a
you think of
Northeast
those
thing.
compared?
I never-
Well, actually, the first time I went to one was in Virginia, and last week when I was driving, either driving back
Colorado.
to the park or from the park in Maryland, there's a Sheets, and I was like, "Holy cow!" So I heard it was fantastic, and I went there. It was okay. It wasn't anything super as different, which was nice. But they got one near me. It's unfortunately it's in the People's Republic of Maryland, so
There is a Buc-ee's in Colorado. That'd be a hell of a detour for me, though.
May need another week to go that one.
Yeah.
You might just make a weekend trip out of it to Buc-ee's, Vince. Now that might be 2 weekends. As
Yeah, that'd be 2 weekends by the time you convert it to metric.
that's
now, Vince, I will
but
tell
think of
you.
all those parks that would be new to you.
Oh, I
On the
know.
way.
Oh, I
Now,
know.
Vince, I will tell you this, and I'm going to get roasted in the chat. I already know that. I'm going to get absolutely roasted. Buc-ee's is awesome. It is the Timmy's of the South, though.
And what do you mean by that?
It
I
is
think
the
you're trying to
Tim
make fun
Hortons of
Tim
the
Hortons,
South.
but
I
that's
need
a coffee
cons-
joint.
I need some context on that.
It is
Yeah,
the
I do too.
Tim Hortons of the South.
Yeah.
It is everywhere for us.
Okay.
Nothing bad,
Got it.
but yeah,
All right.
you can actually.
right.
It's not fresh, but you can order Buc-ee's online to be delivered.
My first visit, I found myself with a shopping cart. I'm reading this, Vic Miller, with a shopping cart, and ended up spending over $300 there. And yes, that was $300, but I did get my Christmas shopping done.
Uh huh. Yep.
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, Peter, brother-in-law. I got you all a jug of DEF right here.
Hey,
I
I
can
will
just
say
see it.
this for those of you who like venison, they do have venison on the menu there in a couple different forms.
Nice.
So, and I think it's farm raised, so it's year round.
Cooley, I have had White Castles. I have not eaten at White Castle.
Gross.
you
and
got to eat
gross.
at White Castle.
One of these days. One of
White
these
Castle, Crystal, any other derivative, nasty. Although the chicken sandwiches are really good. I will eat the
But
chicken
when 2 o'clock in the morning, coming home from drinking up in Philadelphia, that is the place to go. Many times coming from Philadelphia after a night drinking up there and partying, we'd stop there, get some food, and stumble home.
So,
Oh, it was
Vince,
always
Lou wants
amazing.
to buy you a Buc-ee.
What's a Buc-ee? Like the truck stop with all the gas pumps and all the rest. Yeah, I could get into that.
Oh,
It's a
trust me. When you come back down, yeah, you're going to enjoy Buc-ee's.
All right.
As a Californian that apparently has no taste, because
Mhm.
us Californians, but I'm going to go this way again. I'm Italian. I have taste. It's just a poor happenstance. I live in
That's
California.
questionable.
Bucky's is awesome. I will take Bucky's any day of the week.
All right.
Yeah, Bucky's
Well,
is
we'll
the
find out.
cleanest bathrooms you'll come across too.
Now that
Uh-huh.
I don't
That's
think
what I
anybody
hear.
can argue that one.
It was,
You're absolutely right.
that's like a big deal for me when I'm traveling because you find so few of them that are.
Yeah, I'm lucky. My sister lives down in Texas, and so she's lately been sending, and I got some beaver nuggets and coffee upstairs from Bucky's,
Far out.
and she always sends me stuff for birthday and Christmas. So I have not had the Bucky's coffee, and that'll go in rotation very soon. I'll see how good that is. But
Lou has posted a correction in the chat. If somebody could highlight that, please.
I
I
just had to-
accidentally hurt the return key. I should buy Vince a Bucky's adult onesie. I'm pretty sure you can't find them to my size, but thank you for the thought.
Oh no, that growth.
I think Lou's saying challenge accepted.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
I think I know what he's talking about. I've seen. I think I've seen those.
Is that like a Tyvek suit with like Bucky's logo on it or something?
It's like a big zip. You remember
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the pajama onesies
Sure,
and stuff
sure.
like that. I think
Yeah.
it's like one of that with like, and it's got like the beaver head and
Yeah.
and as Dustin said, beaver nuggets. You
God.
got to get the beaver nuggets.
Hey, it's all about the beaver nuggets, man.
Yeah.
Those are amazing.
Are they anything like cattle oysters?
No,
No.
beaver
All
nuggets
right.
are like
Buffalo
a
oysters.
puffed corn glazed
Yeah.
sugar treat that are
yeah.
absolutely wonderful.
All right. All right.
D's
I should
saying
try
they have
and
a whole
whatever
new
sent to
array
me.
of
Yeah.
nugget flavors as well.
Yeah, and they do have a really good selection of jerky too. I always buy some friends of mine some of the jerky there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Of course, there's not anything. I haven't had anything that's bad from there as far as the food
No.
goes. All good.
You know, I like to stop and get breakfast there. So the egg and sausage biscuit sandwiches are just awesome.
Oh,
the
yeah.
brisket
Mm.
burrito. Oh my gosh.
Brisket
So
burrito.
scrambled eggs
Brisket.
and
Burrito.
brisket.
Brisket
I
burrito.
heard breakfast burrito earlier, and I'm like, I can do a breakfast burrito.
Oh, yeah. They're amazing.
Brisket burrito. Yeah, I'd be all over that
Smoked
too.
brisket and they do it all right there in the store too.
Mhm.
So
You could watch
really-
them cook
really
it, and
good.
smell it, and smell it.
Vince, let me guess. After the stream, you're grabbing your passport and you're heading right down, right?
No, I got a few things I got to get done tonight and tomorrow, so I can't be doing that. But
You charter.
I'd be all over. I'd be all over that brisket burrito like a fat kid on a Smartie.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
You know it.
Oh, there we go.
All right. So Dell was asking in the
Oh.
chat, what the hell
Oh,
is
let's
a beaver
highlight
nugget?
this.
Yeah, and big and Mike.
And big and me.
pow. I need sound.
So here they are.
Those are Bucky nuggets.
They're backwards, Mike.
Yeah. It's I'm not going to read the ingredients, but it starts off with brown sugar, so that's a good start.
Processed sugar.
Any high fructose corn syrup.
We
That's the key
got
ingredient.
brown sugar, we got cornmeal, corn syrup, not high fructose, just corn syrup.
Oh, so it's good.
So the OG corn syrup, vegetable oil, contains less than 2% of the following: salt, margarine, blah blah blah.
Love,
So
peace,
yeah,
a lot of regret.
so it's like brown sugar, corn syrup, and oil. Maybe some corn in there.
I'm sure there's a little bit.
Maybe some
All
more.
right.
Yeah, no,
Or
they're
effing
it's
around.
freaking delicious.
Oh, yeah, they're super.
I mean, it's like I haven't had them since the fall when I had them around my birthday, but it reminds me of like Captain Crunch cereal, but like on steroids.
yes, that's a
Like,
very
it's
good
like-
analogy.
I mean, it's that much better. You know,
I'm getting this picture in my mind that I should be leaving most of the box of my truck open to fill with at least one case of Sundrop, and then a pile of
Bucky
beaver nuggets, Bucky nuggets,
Yep,
whatever
Bucky
these things are
beaver
called,
nuggets, yes.
Yep.
beaver nuggets.
John
Um,
says it's corn, so it's all vegetables.
Yeah,
what
I
I'm
saw
saying.
that.
Good for
I would
you.
agree.
It's good for you.
And
I would agree.
RF and around said he heard brisket and came a running.
yeah.
Boy, that brisket is good. I'm telling
So,
you.
Great.
Vince, just for you and everyone else around. Tim, will you share my screen, please?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah, that's it.
my
There you go.
goodness.
I know. I saw someone on one of those on Facebook recently.
Oh,
It's totally
There-
video
please.
for the events.
please do not buy this for me. Please take your money and give it to the ARRL.org stroke
Hey.
give to STEM.
They have it up to extra large, Vince, so you're good.
Sweet.
They have all the sizes.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but
Is that enough
no,
X's?
just send the money to Steve Goodgame. Your money will be well spent.
Yeah, be well spent.
Speaking of which, if anybody's new, the QR code up in the top goes to the give to STEM link
Oh,
on
nice.
the ARRL.org website. They're, I believe, a 501c3 whatever charity, so it's a full tax write-off, deductible write-off.
Yeah.
And as I posted earlier today, get the best award in amateur radio, and that's a personalized thank you from the ARRL for donating to this. So
Mhm.
that is suitable for framing. So
That's what I'm saying.
And
if you've got an extra couple bucks, please think about donating.
There's a
Vince,
special place in heaven for you.
Dan says pics or it didn't happen.
Yeah, whatever.
Yep. That's correct.
Whatever. Ain't gonna happen because you guys are going to send your money to Good Game. I did that last year. I was happy to make a donation.
Yeah, it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
That was one of my growing pains of being a new YouTube creator at Dayton was equipment, only get the good stuff. Good Game was doing the youth thing, where Carlos was doing the jump at
Yep.
Dayton, and they had the youth calling out to Carlos as he was jumping, and I'm filming the entire thing right there alongside Mike. Mike was there, and I had these freaking TikTok shop cheap, crappy wireless and microphones I was using. And guess what wasn't working? I shot all this video, absolutely no audio, and I was just crushed. It was
Don't you hate that?
Oh, you
Don't
could
you hate
you could
that?
release a silent movie with all the piano playing. in
yeah.
the
I should have done
Wow.
a bunch of voiceover with helium. I could do a kid's voice again, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
But-
right after that
but
show,
he-
I went out and got me some DJI wireless mics, and I said,
I'll
"Hey,
make
boy,
it easy for you. And this is coming from the photographer side of me, not the videographer side. This is coming from the photographer side. Like ham radio. Buy once, cry once. Period.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
That saying is for everything.
For
Like
real.
all the gear I have that I have in my videos that I mentioned, they are expensive. It is expensive. I probably spent $15,000 with this one company on gear.
Well,
It's going to last me
worth it.
forever.
Exactly. I haven't looked back on those wireless mics. They are amazing.
Yep.
Absolutely. Hey, real quick, I just recognized the YouTube name RF and Around. I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Are you the guy that does the Vince? What was the Ninja Potomap you mentioned
Yeah,
earlier?
I got it here. Map.poda.ninja. And that was done by a VE3. He's the creator of that.
James,
Okay.
right?
I love that site now, by the way. Thank you for that.
RFing
yeah,
around
me
is
too.
James, and he's one of the POTA volunteers.
Okay.
Yep.
I thought I saw that name tied to that when I was looking at it the other day, but I might be wrong. It's a great site.
Yes, sir, it is.
Yeah.
Could
And
refresh-
Wisconsin, and there are boots. Okay, so
Boots?
I'm in front of 5 of my dear American friends. I'm going to say the word, and you tell me what it sounds like to you. Okay, are we ready?
Go for it.
Say it again.
About.
a boot.
That sounds like about.
No, I
Sounds like about. Okay,
About.
All right.
Okay,
Yeah,
can you
I've-
say pawn shop?
pawn shop,
Okay. I have an
Water?
aunt who's from New York, and it doesn't. come out.
water,
Wooder.
Water?
Water.
Getting
Like,
Wooder.
how do you say the province that starts with the letter Q?
Quebec.
Yes,
Quebec.
Not
Great
Quebec.
fishing in Quebec.
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 Quebec. Been there, done
Uh,
that.
if I was there, I would say Quebec.
Yeah.
That's the
Quebec.
French
Quebec,
pronunciation.
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Quebec.
They say Quebec.
Quebec.
Quebec. Way.
Great fishing
Huh.
in Quebec.
Hey.
So Vince, I talked to Jody about this, and I'm gonna have to dig in our chats for it. There's one word or one thing that I was like, wait, does this sound right? I'm gonna have to dig, so it's gonna take me a second.
Say
Chris.
house.
Chris, it is a sauce. Yes.
Vince, say house.
House.
Oh, okay.
House.
Because I'm used to him going back to the house.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, my son-in-law worked for a contracting company when they were running Google Fiber, and they were based out of Canada.
Yeah.
And in America, and he said everything is a hoose to them. We got to go to the next hoose.
Okay, I found it, Vince.
For the life of me, I don't know where a boot comes from myself. Like I don't get it.
Yeah.
But, I was raised in Southern Ontario, just up the street, pretty much from Rochester, where Mike lives.
Mhm.
So maybe I'm influenced by Irv Weinstein and the WKBW News at 11 p.m. Do you know where your
There you
children
go.
are? And all that Buffalo pronunciation.
So Vince, just so I don't embarrass myself, because I already
Yep.
know I will, I put it in the private chat. I'll let you read it. How is it
It's
pronounced?
it's Regina.
Okay.
Yep, that's exactly right.
It rhymes with
Yeah, I know.
something 13-year-old
Regina.
Vince would say.
Pickles?
But what's
It's
fun-
Regina.
So the history behind that, I watch a couple Canadian YouTubers that are not hams.
Yeah.
I think we were sort of discussing this in the after chat Saturday night. One of them, Charlotte Dobre, and the other is Call Me Chris Collins. If no one's familiar, it's fine. Chris pronounced it differently, and I was like, Jody, which way is this supposed to be pronounced? And Jody's like, yeah, it's this way. And I'm like, oh, okay. So Chris is from British Columbia, so she pronounces it completely different.
She does.
I'm not mature enough to say it the correct.
So
Good
yeah,
day.
the A thing. I
Good
pick
day.
up accents. I pick up accents really bad. And when I was in the Navy, I went up to Victoria and Vancouver and spent, I don't know, we were up there probably a week. And I kept saying A for the next 3 weeks after we left. And it was
day, eh?
horrible. Absolutely horrible.
I'm going to take
I
out
mean,
a
not
victory.
horrible, but I got razzed a lot because, well, I was in the Navy.
It's assimilation.
I learned how to speak Canadian from SCTV and
You
Bob
know
and
it.
Doug McKenzie.
Do it. It's a beauty, eh?
When I went to Toronto in high school. That's the only thing we talked about the entire time. We talked like them. We said we gotta go to Youngstown. All this stuff. But 2 years later, we went to Montreal and we just destroyed the place twice. Montreal's a lot more fun than Toronto was. Let me tell you that.
I tell you, when
It
that
is.
movie came out in the 80s and movie rentals were becoming a thing, a regular thing in the home, we wore out the McKenzie brothers. What was the name of that movie?
Strange Brew.
Strange Brew. Yes.
Stra-
we
Strange
wore
Brew. It's
it
on Amazon. It's on Amazon Prime if you have it. I think
my
some other
gosh.
places too.
So I see Dan might be the funnier of the two brothers here.
Oh, bugger off. But he's totally right. We need to highlight that comment. Do you
Yeah,
know
this-
how a
this
Canadian
one-
spells Canada? My brother is right.
C-A-N-A.
C-A-N-A-D-A.
That's awesome.
There you go. Freddie, you can use that in one of your dad joke Wednesdays.
I'm going to have to.
Yeah,
It's-
you're going to
I
have
think
to.
it's a thing now. Which, by the
Well-
way, new one drops in the morning.
Ooh.
Sounds like Brian has the same problem that I did.
Let's lose it.
Oh, London, Ontario.
Yeah,
Yeah,
London, Ontario.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. I worked in London for about a year and a half. I can attest there is a different accent in
A
London. It
distinction.
seems. Yeah, there's a distinction.
I love
And it's kind of funny. I mean, Hamilton's only an hour from Buffalo, and the accent in Buffalo is incredibly distinct, and that whole Eastern New York accent, as Mike knows, because Mike's got a little bit of it. He doesn't have it. He doesn't have it as much as those folks in Cheektowaga and Tonawanda do.
Yeah, that's
But-
it's. I'm from Central New York originally. I've only lived in Western New York the last decade or so. But yeah, New York, like Ontario. I mean, these are huge states, provinces, and you know how people talk downstate on Long Island and Brooklyn versus out in Buffalo or Rochester. It's night and day.
Ain't that
Yeah.
something?
My dad was from Buffalo. You'd never be able to tell.
Yeah.
But in Canada, you know, here's a typical call sign: Alpha Alpha 0 Zulu, AA 0 Z. It's not AA 0 Z.
Zed.
Because Z sounds too much like D, G, E, and all the other E sounding letters.
I mean, I bet they
That
say
in-
zebra
they-
instead of zebra.
Canada, Australia,
Zanzibar.
England, they all say Zed. I cannot
Zed.
do it. I hear a few people here doing it on local repeater when they talk to me or just use the letter. But I always say A3RZ when I'm on repeaters.
So Jeff, are you good on QRZ or are you good on QRZ?
Hmm.
I say QRZ just and when I do activations, I say QRZ.
Out of habit.
All right.
Don't. It's just habit. Just because the way I heard it, that's the way I
Yep.
repeated it. So
All
So-
right.
Mike,
Now,
is it
if-
creek
if-
or
if-
crit?
What's
creek or
that?
Crick.
Is it
Crick.
creek or crick for you?
It depends which part of New York I'm in.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
okay. Roof or rough?
was gonna ask.
It's a roof.
Yeah.
Okay,
Generally
yeah.
it's a roof or a creek and stuff like that. But you know, you get into some parts of rural New York and upstate or
Yeah,
you know, the North Country or whatnot. You know, it might vary.
as
And
I,
it's
as
like
I
one of
said,
the common things, and Vince, I don't know how it is in Canada, but things like where I am in Western New York, they call it pop. I
Sure.
grew up with it soda, right? You know, so you go to the grocery store and it's that they'll be generic and they'll say soft drinks or whatnot.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
right.
but that's like the we're so far off track.
In Oklahoma,
The ham radio and goals and
I
stuff.
want to hear what
But like
Friday's
what
got
pop
to say.
and pop,
In
there's a
Oklahoma,
distinction.
they
with
just
pop
called
and
it a
soda.
Coke. Hey, you want a Coke? Yeah. What kind?
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, and then you get down south, and then it's just everything's a Coke. Everything's a Coke and
You want a
tennis
Coke?
shoes.
Yeah.
Um,
Dr.
That
Pepper.
makes no sense.
No, it don't.
Yep.
It sure don't.
Except when they have Pepsi.
First
Mike,
time I
the
heard
reason-
soft drink, I'm like, what is a soft drink? That sounds like something new. I'd like to try that.
Mike, the reason why I asked, as I said, my dad's from Buffalo, and it's roof and crick.
It just depends. Like it's you know again, especially like I said earlier, like Ontario, Quebec, New York. These are all really large areas, and you know Canada, the lower cities like Montreal, Hamilton, Toronto, like you know closer, further south, those are the more densely populated areas. And but you have you know some big cities in New York, but you have a lot of just open land in between. The Adirondacks, you got lots of farm country and stuff, and it just kind of depends where you are. It can really vary.
And
We
I
have
always, I grew up, it was pop.
Where'd you
Yeah.
grow up, Frank?
Where I grew up, right here in San Francisco Bay.
Oh,
Well,
That's
right-
it. That's
right up
exactly
there.
what you said.
Yeah,
I
I'm
like
not
that.
in Bay right now, but right in San Francisco. Born and raised. So
We have a town in
Mhm.
Oklahoma spelled like Miami, Florida. M-I-A-M-I, I think it is. But in Oklahoma, you better pronounce it Miami, or they'll throw you out of the state.
It was
Oh,
they did that too in I spent summer 2000 out in Kansas City, Kansas,
Oh yeah.
doing an internship, and I lived in I was staying in Miami County, so I was staying in I think it was Lewisburg, Kansas, and that was you know what I would say Miami. But you know, I learned quick when I got out there. I used to joke, you know, being the Yankee going out to Kansas for the summer, it was like my study abroad,
Oh,
right?
yeah, and you
And,
stuck out like a sore
you
thumb
know,
when you spoke,
but-
didn't you?
Yeah, but I love KC though. KCK,
yeah.
KC Mo. Like I spent a lot of time out in Kansas and in Missouri or Missouri, however you want to say it, you know,
Missouri.
depending which part you're from. And you know, it was great. It was great. But yeah,
Good
Miami.
Yeah,
Sounds like
Miami's a big
Don is
deal.
trying to stir up the whole Coke Pepsi debate here in the chat.
Oh yeah, I
Yep.
saw
Oh,
that.
gee whiz.
Yeah.
And Freddie, there's the third pronunciation too of Missouri.
Missouri.
Misery.
Missouri.
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 Oh, misery.
Missouri. We call it Missouri a lot.
You put the emphasis on the wrong syllable.
Yeah.
Something like
All right, let's bring this back to ham radio.
Yes,
Y'all repeat
please.
after me. Please say "and fed half wave."
and fed halfway.
And fed halfway.
Fed
And
All right,
fed
that doesn't
halfway.
sound bad. And
Yeah.
fed random
Ham
wave.
stick.
In Fed Random.
Random.
And fed
Random
random
way.
wire.
All right. Is it ATAS or
Hamstick?
ATOS?
ATOS.
Oh, that's a
ATOS.
good. I don't know.
I'm going to go with ATOS.
Yeah, ATOS all the way.
All right.
ATOS.
Now
I
there's
guess
here.
it depends
I,
on whether it's a word or a acronym.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's all.
I,
up to
now, I
date,
say
so-
Rybakoff, but I hear other people say Ribakoff. So
Rybakoff.
Oh.
that's another one. I say Rybakoff, and
I think
Yeah.
that's only Abe that pronounces it that backwards way.
but there's a couple that say Ribakoff.
Well, they're
Rybakoff 'cause
they're
it's-
ribble wrong, Mike.
Yeah.
All right. I got one here, but it's a prop.
Guns.
Can we highlight me, please?
Sure.
Oh, boy.
Organization.
What's the name of this thing?
Nano VNA.
DNA.
Nano VNA.
No, it's a Nanovna. That's the Russian pronunciation.
Okay.
No. In Soviet Russia, Waldo finds you.
Mhm.
Yeah. There you go. All right.
Oh,
Oh,
Don,
yeah.
Head
Don's,
desk.
Don's really trying to solder or solder.
Solder.
Oh yes, we got into that on
Oh,
Workbench.
yeah.
Is it solder,
I've heard a
suitor,
lot of solder
Solder.
pronunciation.
Solder.
I just yeah.
Figured out how to spell that. It was solder.
Yeah.
But that's like the English language. And it's funny because it's the same word, but the British pronounce it completely and utterly differently.
Well, if you've listened to any of the 10,000 videos put out by M0FXB, it's solder.
Solder.
That man is a video making machine. It's one
Aluminium.
radio, and he's got 80 videos about that radio. in
Oh
one
yeah.
day.
I think Chris Becker has the best pronunciation of a Nano VNA.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not a rig expert.
That's for sure. That's a big for sure right there.
Saved a few $100.
Best comment of the night.
Oh, Lord of mercy.
Oh, I missed it, but I'll catch up.
Yeah. So I guess real quick, we probably should look at winding this up. So if people,
Yeah.
we're going to be coming up on, was it 10:30 Eastern here? So
You got it.
I guess if we want to do some quick around the rooms and parting thoughts as we head out of 2024. Jeff, you want to go ahead and start since you're on the top there?
Sure. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subs. I'm going to do a big giveaway. That'll be coming up time whenever I hit 2,000 subscribers. Just be nice to each other on the air, for crying out loud.
For real.
Mhm.
Too many alpha hotels. Help people out. Help new hams out. Don't be a dick. And once you read the manual, once you just get a resident antenna, what do you need a tuner? If I had a tuner, I'd smack it across your head. I hate this kind of. I hate this kind of comment. It's like someone might
Jeff,
ask,
don't
like,
hold back, man. Tell us how you really feel.
Don't hold back, dude.
I can't use
Music's
those
the word.
words. I'm sorry, I can't use those words.
Oh, okay.
But I see it all the time on forums and Facebook. It's like, what kind of tuner should I get for this radio? And then there's people that say, hey, get this tuner, get this tuner. And then you get the wise ass that says, we just use resonant antennas. Well, not everyone can be awesome like you with a resonant antenna,
That's what I'm saying.
but just freaking be nice to people, for crying out loud. It doesn't take that much effort to be nice. Just tell them something. Don't be a dick about it. Yeah. So be nice to everyone in 2025. Treat others how you want to be treated. Because if you got asked the question, someone came back to you with that kind of answer, you yeah, too happy. Yeah, that's all I got to say. Thank you everybody for subscribing. I appreciate it. Love you all. Be safe. We'll see you in the new year.
Amen.
Vince, what you got? Parting
Well,
words for 2024?
Man, that's a tough one to follow, Jeff. You've given certainly a lot of us a lot to think about, and I mean that very sincerely for all the kibitzing we've been doing tonight. Absolutely, don't be a D on the air. You don't need to be. And there's plenty of AHs, and you'll find most of them on 14313. They used to be on 14312. There's the funny story. But the FCC did introduce a program to move them off the band 1 KC at a time. So far, they've just gotten to 14313, but not withstanding. I'm looking forward to another great year of playing on ham radio and just following my heart as to what activities I undertake. Thanks to all of my YouTube subs. YouTube isn't my prime thing, as you all know. You'll more find me on Ham Radio Workbench podcast, but I do drop a video every once in a while. I got one dropping on Thursday. It's just a little 38-second video, but I had a lot of fun running it. So there you are.
Awesome, Mike.
All right, yeah, I'll tell a quick story, and I don't know if Country James is still in the chat, but Country James was in the chat earlier, and I was on a work trip, and it was this past year when they added a lot of new parks across the U.S. to POTA, right? And so there are a lot of these ATNOs, and even though you don't get like any certificates, there's it's always a point of pride being the first. Right, first to activate a park or whatever. And I had planned out a rove to hit up a couple of these ATNOs on my way back. And I'm at the first park, and I can't remember if I think I might have started on 40, maybe it was 20. And I was really excited to get 2 or 3 of these ATNOs. And I kind of just, something just changed. And it's like, you know what? Nope, I'm going to stay here and I'm just going to activate on a bunch of bands. I'm going to do 40, I'm going to do 20, but then I'm going to go to 10, right? And I'm going to do 10 because I want to give everybody a shot to get this new park. Well, Country James was a tech at the time, and I worked him. We had a little QSO sometimes, if you're not getting a major pile up on a band, and I'll chat with people for a minute or two. And we had a good conversation. He was a recently, a new tech, and he was studying for his general. We had a great, conversation and everything. And then, lo and behold, he didn't even know I was a YouTuber at the time or whatever. And I've had a small channel for a little while. And next thing you know, he sees me in the chat. He's like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't realize that was you." And, that's great. And, we connected. Now he's got his own little channel. He's does some stuff or whatever, but, kind of to pick up on this whole theme, don't be a dick, like, be a good ham, like we talk all the time about the S word. I hate saying sad hams. Like, I don't like to say that word because I like to focus on the positive stuff. Ham radio is fun. It makes me happy. And, just be a good ham because, ultimately the people that you connect with in person at these shows, at the ham fests, or people you talk to on the air, it's an opportunity to connect, to make friends, to be an Elmer and all this other stuff. So, that's my story. That's a little nugget of joy from this year.
Awesome, Frank. How about you? Cool. Parting words.
Responding to chat there, I'll echo most of what everybody else has said. Absolutely fantastic year. I am shocked. I was looking at my stats earlier. I went from literally nothing. Apparently I said a magic word to activate my device.
Hey Google, turn the lights in Frank's home.
Hey Siri.
Nice try. Headphones not going to work. and that was off my phone too, which is even more weird because I have it totally shut off. Anyway, My stats doubled nearly overnight this last week here, and I absolutely love it. I went from maybe 50 subs at the beginning of the year to 1,572 subs at this point. So, with work being aside, I'm still going to be very busy working because that's how it is. I'm just going to do what I can and get out there and have fun. And I'm not going to let the sad hams, whether they're called end in certain Squirrel Man letters, and those that know what I'm talking about, or otherwise, I'm going to not let those sad hams get to me, and I'm just going to have fun. Jeff, you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Yeah, but
Yep.
one thing about like not letting the sad hams ruin your fun. Never let any sad ham ruin your fun.
Mhm.
And it's also that one comment, it's like, oh, you could always turn the dial. Huh, I was running the net. I can't turn the dial on the net.
Right.
I think
again, those
Bill
comments
Ferguson, I think
just
summed up
irk
what
me.
Frank just said. Something Turkish fembots.
Bring
But
that back up again. Coming in 2025, something
Turkish
fembots.
Turkish fembots. But
He's going to be the first person to release a
Photo
video
park
of that.
near
type.
you.
now I forget where I was going with that. But yes, I still forget what I was going for. But anyway,
Sad hams in the nets.
yeah, don't let them discourage you. I mean, you know what? Just record. Like I record all my activations because it's evidence of what I did, where I was, and who I talked to.
Exactly.
If I have one of those interactions, damn straight you're gonna see it.
And just go out and have fun.
Yeah, and I'm gonna make fun of it too, because here's some Alpha Hotel being an Alpha Hotel on the air. Everyone laugh at me, please. These people should not be. This behavior should not be hidden, closed away, pushed to the side. It needs to be brought out to everyone's attention, so that the community can do what it needs to do to get rid of these people.
Now, I have a challenge for, and this is going to be fun. I have a challenge for all of us ham tubers, and I'm going to put this out, throughout the week as well to the other channels. So if you're watching this on Team Replay, pay attention, ham tubers. I want each and every one of us, if we come across a sad ham or a sad net ham, I want you to get it out there on video. Even if you have to scramble to set up the camera or, just film on your phone, get it on video. Make it into a video at the end of 2025. Let's see how many sad hams are really out there that we can lift the rock out of their hiding place and make them feel uncomfortable.
Some of them like it. I just got to
can
say
do.
that some of them are trolling. They like the attention.
Oh yeah.
And,
Yeah, but still, let's do this. Let's expose the
The
sad
awareness level needs to be raised, I think.
Exactly, Freddie.
So I'm gonna throw this out. I had a bunch of asshats today while I was activating, and I just pushed through them. Don't acknowledge them. Just push through it. If anything, fake it. The person on the other end will understand. You just make them feel like they're not bothering you, and they'll go away. Now, what Frank said, feel free to record them. Feel free to post it on social media, because I think the more we publicly shame them,
will be,
because we can troll right back. You don't have to do it over the air. Like I said, don't let that get in the way. Just do that. What Mike? What'd your son say?
My son and I've activated on 7.2 a couple times this year, and my son and I, he's got his general. He's 15 now. Like we always go out usually around holidays and vacations. He's not. He's more into teenage things than ham radio, but we'll still go out from time to time. We activated on 7.2 on Thanksgiving. We asked if the frequency was in use. They didn't come back. They were clearly preoccupied. And we activated, and we got some lame ass QRM and stuff here and there, but we had a good time, and we got
Didn't you start on upper sideband too?
No, that
Didn't
was
that not-
earlier. That was
Okay.
when I did it by accident in another video.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't do a video when him and I went out on Thanksgiving. We were kind of in a rush because of family stuff, but like I said, like I usually, like a lot of people, I tune up there, right? and, but it was free, and and I'll ask, and I've done it. I probably activated on 7.2 about 3-4 times, and but like I do with every frequency, if it's free, it's free. Nobody owns it, and
Yep.
if people are going to be pricks, that's fine. Then I'll move on. They can have it, because if they're not there, they're going to go somewhere else.
But Mike,
Is the way that I look at it. At least where that the alpha hotels are. If they're there,
Yeah, if
they're
you
there.
if you know where they're at, then just
Yeah.
avoid it. Just don't go looking for. It's kind of like when you carry a firearm, you don't go looking for the fight. You never want to
Exactly.
use what you have. You don't want like an amateur. You don't want to sink to their level and start calling them assets and all that other stuff, all those foul words over the air. You just say, yeah, whatever. I'm just going to move away. Just avoid those altogether. Avoid the
So-
14-300, avoid 7-200. Just avoid them. But if you want to have
so
some
to bring
fun,
this back-
go for it and record it.
So to bring this back around, exactly, Jeff. If you want to have fun with it, record it. And as Dave said, let's make the Sad Hams famous. That's what I want in 2025. That's my departing thought for 2024. Absolutely. Let's make them famous and uncomfortable.
And if you've come across a 10-minute beak, make sure you record it.
Oh,
There's
Jeff,
also,
I got
there's
something.
also DC's, Douglas. Douche canoes is another one.
Jeff, I got something for you afterwards.
Well, you all remember my video from the first video I put out this year was that guy. I did my New Year's Day activation, and lo and behold, I come across this guy. Never heard him before. So it was news to me, but you know what? Everyone loves to watch that video.
Yeah, they do.
I had an incident where a guy got into my activation, and what was funny was that he unkeyed, and the people, the hunters that were waiting, ripped into him, and then they started going back and forth, and I just went and respotted on another frequency and just kept on going. But
Excuse me while I exit.
let them.
That's what happened on my video that Jason Hammer 2.0 featured. I didn't hear the net that was apparently I was on their frequency, but they were trying to QRM me, and I never heard anything until that one hunter comes up and says, "Hey, I'm having problems hearing you. There's some QRM," and then he finishes the contact with me. It starts going off on one of the people from the net, and I recorded it all, put it in the video. It's just dead.
I had a funny one today. I just gotten in. I had the radio on. I hear nothing. I call, is the frequency in use? Guy comes in and goes, yes. He goes, we got a guy we're waiting on. He's setting up a station down in Costa Rica, and we've just got this time window. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I'll move on. He goes, well, I'll tell you what, if you want to do an activation or whatever, that's fine. He goes, just if you hear the guy or whatever, kind of break in and let us kind of figure out a new frequency or whatever if you want. I'm like, yeah, sounds good. It's fine. Got the guy's call sign. I logged him. I mean, everything was good. Well, then as I was going on, then I started getting QRM'd, and one person was tapping out their call sign on things.
Oh.
And of course,
Yeah.
our buddy Robbie Campota jumps in and calls him out because he's tapping out his call sign, like right in the middle of my activation. So not everybody that does voice doesn't. What was it? Not everybody doesn't know CW. There we go. Or maybe that's the inverse. I don't know. Help me out on that one, Vince.
No, you did just fine.
Okay. Well, there we go. All right. Hey, Freddie.
Yeah.
What's your parting thoughts?
Well, I'm Freddie Mac, and I think together in the new year we could make 7.2 great again.
There you go.
Like
James, that's
there
the
you
last
go.
t-shirt idea of 2024. Bro.
Oh man, I've got a lot of new things.
semi-new things on tap for 2025. I had a stellar 2024. More things good happened to me than I anticipated. Obviously, especially because of all of you. This playlist has done nothing but make all of us successful, and I feel like I've really benefited from it, and I appreciate each and every one of you for that. It's been a ride, to say the very least. But I want to say, and before I forget again, I have a GitHub page now. I don't know why I didn't utilize this much sooner than I actually did. So if you guys are into a GitHub page, github.com/KD5FMU. I'm building a lot of script files, and I'm going to be putting some Supermon customization files on there, some stuff that Jeff taught me, and I've got some really exciting things coming up about that as well. So I really, like I said before, really want to get into some digital modes, and maybe even that, slow scan TV that we were talking about. Who knows? We'll get into that. But I want to say thank you to all my subscribers, all my channel members, and everybody on my Discord server. I'm telling you what, a group of people that's gotten together and is helping each other out, and everybody new that comes along. You guys make the difference, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So, yeah, it's going to be another great year. Hope to make it just as good as the last one was. Hope the weather holds out. More Expo, when we got to More Expo, it was like really hot that first day, and then the freaking bottom fell out that night, and it got the next night, it got cold.
That's right.
But it was too good. It was just good times I'll never forget.
Yeah, everybody had a good time. Well, I tell you what, talking about subscribers and everything, I am really thankful. I just went over 3,000 subscribers, and Dayton,
yes, sir.
Dayton, this coming year will be just the kind of the beginning of my 2-year journey. I showed up at Dayton, not as a ham tuber, but as an overlander who did ham radio on his overlanding channel, kind of as a POTA as an activity, and created this channel, the Gray Man POTA channel, or not this one that we're on, but the Gray Man POTA channel. And it has been very fun and very fulfilling to be able to share my experiences, to be able to share doing amateur radio, and hopefully giving people that kind of that confidence that you can go out and you can do it too. There's more to it, and that's where the channel, the Ham Radio Kids Table, kind of has led to that next step of now it's not just me. There's a group of us of ham tubers. We're all newer. I mean, there's the other more well-established ones. But I think the one thing we all have in common, and I kind of keep bringing it up and up and up again, is that this is not your grandfather's ham radio. There's no reason that you need to be bound to the rules or bound to let me rephrase that. The rules, you've got the rules for whatever country that you're licensed under that you have to follow. But I mean, bound by this, we have always done it this way. Well, this hobby was created as a learning experiment. It was for people when radio itself was not even 2 decades old. The U.S. government, and I'm sure other governments, saw that there was no place for people to learn this. There was no schools for them to go to. I learned everything I needed to know about electronics in the classroom, going to school for the military. Back in the early 1900s, that wasn't there. And so they put a set of guardrails around and said, go learn about it. And we have benefited from that over and over and over and over since then. So my challenge for everybody going forward is to find something new. Hey, Vince, thank you for stopping by.
Yes.
Do something new. Try something new. Don't be afraid. And I'm going to throw this out and kind of wrap it up with this. I've kind of played around with live streaming and everything. and I'd been thinking about this channel, but honestly, it was the Ham Radio Clubhouse who took a 2-week vacation. And I said, you know what? There's a big void here because everybody is so used to being there at 8 o'clock to watch that. And I pushed the button and went with it. And here we are on week 2. So with that being said, we are going to return the frequency back to the Ham Radio Clubhouse.
I have one last
Tuesday
thing.
night, 8 p.m. Make sure you tune in. Check the playlist on your favorite social media for new videos premiering next week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. We are going to continue to do this experiment and try to find a regular night. So please make sure you subscribe to the Ham Radio Kids Table on YouTube. And with that, I think
Jim, I
say Happy New Year. What's that, Frank?
I have one last quick thing.
Oh, yeah.
We have two of our Tuesday, Thursday guys that are still under 1,000 subs. I want to get Punk Rock Ham Radio, Alan and Steve, KO4AFL. I want your 2025 goals. If you do anything, subscribe to them. I'm dropping their links right now in the chat. Go subscribe to them. Get them bumped up to 1,000 at least. You know, they put out some great content with us on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Go get their numbers up too.
I also add in Lou from Hiking and Hammond. I know he hasn't been able to crank anything out, and
Lou's got some good stuff.
But yeah, no, Lou and Alan and everyone, like, you know, we got to get these guys over 1,000.
Oh yes, Lou especially. He's a great guy. He has Pink along with him, but get those guys up over 1,000, please. You guys did it for me. Let's do it for those guys.
Yep.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thank you. Thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe to everybody's channel, to the Ham Radio Kids Table. And once again, we are going to return this frequency to